Off it, everyone, and from wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for KUAM's coverage of Decision 2016. The Guam Election Commission has begun tabulations, and we are all crossing our fingers it won't be too long of a night for us, but not to worry because we plan to be here as long as it takes. Matter of fact, our day here at KUAM started early this morning as Guamanians made their way to the polls.
Candidates and their supporters lined the streets heading into the polling sites, their last-minute push in the hopes to catch some undecided voters.
What we've been working on for the last 8 years is we now have the funding source to build a real state-of-the-art multi-purpose gym in the village. And so that's something that as soon as it's announced that we're re-elected for another 4 years, we're going to start hitting the road and running on that project.
In a nutshell, just take care of the people of the village, give them the opportunities they deserve, give them the facilities that they deserve, and just give them the peace of mind that they have a mayor who's doing the things for them, 100% for them.
I'm going to continue to push what I've dedicated my life these last 6 years to doing, which is preserving our quality of life. Clean water is important to everyone. It should be. Our environment is so overlooked that I want to bring it to the forefront, right up there with education, health, and public safety.
It's been a long campaign. We're very excited. We don't have an office, so we have all volunteers helping us, and we're very blessed with them, with their support, and our family as well. By tomorrow morning, we'll have a new congressperson for Washington here in Guam.
Barbecue pits were fired up for a long day of campaigning until the polls closed, and music kept the party going. Thousands of island residents cast their vote today for mayor, vice mayor, senator, Washington delegate, the Guam Education Board, the Consolidated Commission on Utilities, public auditor, and answered a question on judicial retention. In early October, students from the University of Guam conducted a poll asking registered voters what is the most important thing that they consider about a candidate when voting for them. The top 7 responses: honesty, platform, experience, dedication, their views, their integrity, and their transparency. The responses we received at the polling sites on Super Tuesday when asked what they want to see from elected leaders.
No more bullying, more better education for the kids.
We need everything, education, medical, mainly medical. I'm taking care of a disabled husband, and I really want them to concentrate and improve in the medical area, because I don't think the locals should have to go off island to get medical treatment.
Also on the ballot was the presidential straw poll vote, which Guam has never been wrong. Who will take the White House, Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton?
Undecided.
Well, it's not much to pick from, but I voted for Hillary Clinton, because at least I know that she's in the better and right state of mind compared to Trump.
Well, all I can say is Hillary Clinton is the one, number one Clinton.
Why?
Because she helps the disabled, and I seen on TV that what Donald Trump did is it wasn't right for what he did, and I'm sorry to say, but Hillary Clinton is the one that I like.
Well, we can't wait for the results for the presidential race. People in the mainland are just now waking up and casting their ballots, while we here, where America's Day begins, wait for the results from our local election. Let's head up now to Election Central at the University of Guam, where we check in with KUAM's Ken Quintanilla.
Half a day, I'm here at Election Central at the UOG Cowboy Fieldhouse, and while the polls may have closed a few hours ago, this election is far from over. Actually, we're just beginning. I'm here with Guam Election Commission Executive Director Maria Pangilinan. Maria, how is everything going so far today?
Well, before I joined you, right this very minute, there were 9 precinct boxes already counted. So hopefully we'll get you a report soon. I don't know how soon, but we're going to work hard to get it to you.
I know some of those precincts were from Hagåtña, Agana Heights, Maungtotumaiti, Barragata, and 2 in Dedido. Is this relatively fast compared to prior elections?
I think so, and it could be because of the single ballot sheet. And, some of we have a good mixture in our precincts. We have a good mix of young and old, and we tried to do that for almost every precinct.
Here at Election Central, I'm seeing some of the precinct officials actually leaving. What does that mean when they leave already?
They've cleared out, they've turned in their cast ballots, they've turned in their supply bags, and they're finished.
And what does this ultimately mean with the pace that they're going at right now? What does this mean for this general election? Could we get out here early? Could we see the results as soon as possible?
If the pace continues at this rate, yes.
And does the ballots, does it indicate what kind of voter turnout we had so far today? I know today is a Tuesday. It's not a government holiday. Does it kind of indicate what kind of voter turnout is, if it's going too fast, too slow?
Well, maybe not. But most important, it's we have the one ballot sheet, and that's why that's probably a main reason it's going pretty fast.
I know the polls closed at 8, but a lot of the precincts were coming in pretty fast. Does that mean people didn't vote toward the end of the day, or that they were just really fast in reconciling all the ballots together?
You know, the initial reports that were coming in from the precincts as our commissioners visited all of them was they had a really steady pace, and some of them were pretty busy.
And I can hear the machines going right now, and all three are working, correct, right?
That's correct, up to this point.
And that means, and compared to the primary, that we have an extra machine working, that could mean also that the results will come out faster, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and then aside from the results today, briefly, I know the GEC met before at a little after 9 o'clock, and they addressed some administrative concerns and some calls that were made today. And I can quote one of the commissioners where he said it went pretty smoothly, few calls, few complaints. How do you feel about that?
Well, you know, when I was at the office listening to the phones ring, first I was hesitant and saying, oh my goodness, less phone calls, lower voter participation. But then I said, maybe we addressed most of the issues from the primary election.
What do you attribute that to? Good training, good precinct officials, overall good staff?
Overall, the island, you know, we work together here and it's great. It really is. We have a lot of partners behind the scenes, including the Department of Public Works, the Guam Police Department, Guam Power Authority is totally behind the scene. They're here with us should anything happen with the power, they're here with us to quickly transfer the power source.
Okay, and overall, how do you feel about today's election?
We're still getting there. So, you know, I thank everybody for all the hard work they put in, and thank most especially the voters and the candidates for doing what they did.
Okay, and then lastly, I know that once the results, the preliminary results are released, it's not over yet though, because we still have to count some others. Can you tell me about that?
That's correct. We off-island ballots. They have until November 23rd to be received in our office if they are postmarked by November 8th.
Okay, and then along with the provisional ballots and the write-ins as well. I know there were several write-in campaigns that were going on, right?
Yes, they will. You know, it's up to the commission, and at the end of the night, they will decide when we will address those.
Do you feel like that you guys received a lot of write-ins, a lot of provisional ballots, a lot of off-island absentee ballots?
The provisional ballots were low, and that's a good sign. People are being registered, and so the in-office ballots and those things, those were a little on the lower side, I think.
You feel that there was maybe a lot of write-ins because of the campaigns?
I'm sure even though they're not required to register with us, the write-in candidates did a lot of hard work.
And I know that it's not just you here. You have your staff and a lot of your commissioners. What are actually the commissioners doing with the ballots right now?
They're looking at ballots that were rejected by the machine, and some because maybe of the not mishandling, mind you, but just because there was a little tear or they weren't marked. So that's the reconciliation table where a Democratic commissioner and a Republican commissioner will sit, and sometimes with the legal counsel, to duplicate a ballot that needs to be done in order for the machine to read. And so those are clearly documented and then fed right back into the machine.
I know that the commission is made up of Democrats, Republicans, one independent. And I know we have some party representatives here as well. What is the purpose of having them here?
Observers, making sure that everybody knows that the Guam Election Commission is transparent.
Okay, we'll probably speak with you more. Some commissioners probably toward the end of the night. But anything else you want to add for tonight's part?
Oh, Ken, thank you so much.
That's all we have for now. Again, keep it locked to KUAM for our Decision 2016 live coverage. Back to you guys.
Well, thanks a lot, Ken. We want to let you know where we are going to be bringing you more on-scene reports like you just saw from Ken throughout the night, not just from Election Central, but also from the Republican and Democrat headquarters, and not just here on KUAM TV. We are also bringing you coverage on KUAM's Facebook page. That is the stream from earlier today with Ken Quintanilla and Maria Pangilinan and Jason Solis. They are the team that will be at UOG Election Central. They will have updates on Facebook Live. Also, we'll have a Facebook Live report live stream from the Democrat Party headquarters at 10:30, and another one from the Republican Party headquarters at 11:30 with Crystal Paco. Well, now let's go to a story we've been gathering all for the past several weeks on the People's Agenda.
Dr. Michael Stoyle is a senior faculty member for political science at the University of Guam. Dr. Stoyle says it's clear the biggest priority for elected leaders is to get a handle on the government's finances. GovGuam is spending more than what it's taking in. He says one of two things needs to happen. Either one, leaders raise taxes, or two, reduce the services the government provides.
I want to hear from each candidate. What is their solution to this chronic problem that we have? We're not going to get more money from Washington. And so we need to do something. Otherwise, we're passing on billions of dollars to our children in debt. If you're going to balance the budget, we have to do one of two things. We either have to raise taxes, and I would really suggest raising the property tax, which is the lowest in the United States, or we have to reduce spending, which is almost impossible because we are so short of policemen, we're short of teachers, we're short of so many things here that reducing spending really isn't a priority. It's just not possible. You're just fooling people otherwise. Borrowing money is not a solution. Borrowing money means you simply put off raising taxes much higher later on. You don't really have any choices. The other thing, of course, which is necessary is to stop counting tax refunds as an outflow. It's not. When people overpay their taxes, that's not income any more than if I give you $1 and ask you for 4 quarters change, that dollar is your income. It's not. It's my money. And the same thing is true with the taxpayers. GovGuam is spending money that they're not supposed to have. And we need to stop doing that. We need to treat overpayment of taxes not as income, but as an immediate amount of money which must be repaid to the taxpayer.
All right, again, that was Dr. Michael Stoyle, a political science professor at the University of Guam. Let's check in now with Isa Baza, who is at the Democratic Party of Guam headquarters, located at Tamuning. Actually, we are having some issues with that. So let's move on to the UOG student exit poll that was conducted earlier today. We could pull up the results, starting with the congressional race. Madeline Bordallo had 337 votes, Felix Camacho 270. In the general election race, the top vote getter was Frank Uggan Jr. with 334 votes, Therese Terlahi 329, Tom Atta, number 3, 274, Michael San Nicolas 272, Jim S. Baldon with 266, Judy Wampat at number 6, number 7, another incumbent, Narissa Underwood, at number 8, another incumbent, Republican, Frank Bloss Jr., number 9, Tina Muñoz Barnes, number 10, Dennis Rodriguez Jr., number 11, a newcomer, Talina Nelson, number 12, BJ Cruz, 13, Mary Torres, 14, Tommy Morrison, and rounding out the top 15 in the UOG exit poll, Will Castro. At number 16, Luis Muñoz, 17, incumbent Rory Respicio, 18, Chris Duenas, number 9, Regine Lee, 20, Joe San Augustine, 21, Fernando Esteves, 22, Eric Palacios, 23, Amanda Bloss, 24, Brant McCready, 25, Tony Atta. At number 6, Ben Servino. 27, former Chief of Police Fred Bordallo Jr. 28, Jose San Augustine. Jermaine Alerta, 29, and AJ Balahaja, number 30. And finally, in the race for public auditor, according to the numbers from the UOG exit poll, it is Flores Brooks over Doreen Crisostomo. And joining us now to analyze the results, we throw it over to our analyst, Jess Lujan, former Senator, Ron McNitch, former Department of Interior Deputy Secretary Tony Babalta, and Sean Gumatauta. Guys, what do you think about the exit poll results?
Hey, good evening, Sabrina. Hi, guys.
Good evening.
Hey, good evening.
It's been 2 years already.
Has it been?
Yeah, it's just yesterday.
Yeah.
Interesting poll. Doc, you guys did the polls. I guess when they start trickling in, we can give some credence to it or take jabs at it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I mentioned this to you right before we came out. Tony Atta could pop up. He could come from 25 and make it into the top 15 because of the name. You know, Tony is not really reflected on the exit poll ballot, and so I think he might just pop up. And also Senator Respicio might also pop up.
But Doc, what about also the north-south in terms of the exit poll and where the your team did the polls at?
Right. We generally hope that about 13 out of the 15 will get on our exit poll and they'll be successful. And we didn't poll heavily in the South because the South, you know, you have to send a whole bunch of people out to a whole bunch of different sites. And we do that for the gubernatorial.
You don't like the South, right?
No.
Tyranny of distance for Dr. McNitch and his team.
For the governor's race,
Right.
For the legislative races, it's a bit more difficult.
Well, again, you know, these polls that came out, Doc, what time did you start taking the polls and what time did you end the polls, basically?
We polled throughout the day.
Okay.
And we learned that lesson one time too, is you can't poll just in the morning or just in the afternoon. You have to kind of spread it out in different places, and you have to make an even sampling.
What about total number?
We had about 600. 600 is a pretty good number for an exit poll. The problem, and this is one thing that some people on Guam might not really see, in head-to-head races, exit polls are excellent. They're spot on. When you have a group of 15, you're trying to shake out from a group of 30. It's sometimes not as easy. And if you look at these exit poll numbers, they're razor thin in a number of places. And so that's the key thing is watch out for 11 through 15. There's no telling what's going to happen.
Doc, earlier when you first came out with the polls, you pretty much said in the head-to-head race, it's pretty solid.
Yes.
Is that why basically when you first came out that the race between Delegate Berdalio and former Governor Felix Camacho is pretty much
right? I'll buy y'all steak dinner if it's not.
If it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
No offense, Sean.
Don't worry, I'm going to sharpen my knife right now for that job.
And you also said that the top 10 in the legislative race is pretty solid. I mean those places can shift. But those names and the placings between the first and the 10 are pretty solid. Yeah.
We've done previous polling and it's been consistent. So.
Well, I think the Primo is going to get his revenge of this one 2 years ago.
Hey, you know, it's going to be a good night for Democrats. We're certainly hoping for that. I mean, from everything that the polling has told us, Ms. Berdalio will hopefully maintain her position, and clearly, at least from the polling, the Democrats will maintain a majority. I would hope that Democrats continue to have a successful night. I'd be very happy about it.
Now, just let me ask you this, first 2 years in Florida, and that are out there that's being put out there as who's going to run and who's teaming up with who and all that. Now, based on what's coming out here, number one slot, again, Senator Rodriguez's name has been up there, Senator Mike Phil's name up there, of course, former Senator Guerrero, for a running mate as Lieutenant Governor Tenorio as well. I'm seeing making up for maybe types.
Well, first, there's a name on here as the probably party of Guam. Yeah, it's a great point that the Lieutenant Governor, the City Lieutenant Governor, is looking at these results to see whether or not this is going to be the right person or is here or will be elected tonight. I'm hoping that, again, when the election commission finishes tonight, that poll is going to be the one that everyone's going to be looking. But it's making it interesting.
It's very interesting because I'm looking here, and again, we'll be kidding ourselves. We've never heard the possible teaming of Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio and also Tony Eda. Okay, I mean, we've all heard that. But docs say, you know, there might be a shift here. Tony Eda's name appears in the exit poll. The second is his name basically, but in the ballot is the parentheses Tony. So if you were Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio tonight, you're seeing a potential running mate here, and off the radar at this point. What are you thinking?
I think the best results are the ones that the election commission is going to produce.
And that's going to be produced and we'll be talking about it as they come in. Yeah.
And I do think Tony Addis can finish much better than 25.
Okay.
Because I didn't realize it until just moments before we came on that was the reflection. And you know, I think that the exit poll gives us something to talk about. You know, the results.
Sure.
And I do believe there's going to be a Democrat majority. I think that the top 10 are pretty consistent. They always have been. We have had a top 10 drop out before, but that's when we polled only during a certain time frame. I think that it should be pretty consistent with the final result.
I think so too, and I gauge this based on again, my interaction, talking to my listeners in the morning, interacting with folks out there, and you know, I have a theory, but let's wait and see as the results start coming in, whether that theory holds up and whether this poll holds up. And you know, I mean, we talked about it before we got on there, and let's see if that's going to hold up. And I guess that's the trickle in. We'll see. But again, we talk about gubernatorial here. You guys, there's a few teams that they're talking about on the Democratic side.
I mean, with respect to 2018, we kind of want to let that stuff from 2016, right? I think Democrats are going to be very energized. I would hope that the new Democratic majority, with some new members coming up from new candidates that have come out as Democrats, I hope they have a unified agenda. Clearly, there have been different issues in past legislators that are affecting the race, and you know, I let that dust settle. I mean, on the Republican side, we're looking at prognosticating from Loss Jr. Jim at the top. Jim is the person I have heard spoken about being part of the team, or at least being on the radar, somebody who could possibly be a running or a within 2018.
And that's the word we're on board tonight so far is super majority. Based on the poll, based on discussions, I would say that even in the villages today, there's a lot of concern from Republicans I spoke with about getting the vote out, that if we weren't able to get it out, what the final result will be tonight. And that supermajority word was thrown out quite a bit this afternoon. With a lot of concern by members of the party, when they were concerned.
But we're not avoiding it though.
No, we're not anymore.
Democrats, you welcome
not anymore.
Yeah, the Democrats aren't avoiding.
Right. But it appeared the idea. I mean, there's a strong chance that when the dust settles, there will be a different look of the senators at the legislature, and it will have a kind of an impact. Just what will happen with that number 2 on a ticket with the lieutenant governor is going to be a very interesting pick, but also just what the rest of the Republicans are going to do.
Well, again, but before we even get to 2018, we let the dust settle from 2016.
You mean it hasn't settled yet?
I'm looking at a Democratic majority, right? And I think one of the questions will be is, how will the current administration operate as lame duck with 2 years left with the Democratic majority in place?
That's a great
I mean, I
question.
think that's a legitimate question, and trying to figure out how Governor Calvo and Lieutenant Governor Tenorio will be able to operate, collaborate, come to some sort of agreement with the supermajority in the legislature, Democrats.
Well, I mean, again, let's go back. Supermajority, you're talking about maybe a 10-5 or 11-4, right? Okay. Now, that's a supermajority, but then you factor in, okay, because we talk about unity, but then the Democrats had their issues as well early on when they tried to oust one of their members, okay, because of a non unifying, I guess, statement that was made on our set here, right? But also a few weeks ago, and
I don't know that we tried to. That there was an ousting. There's certainly talk about
your chairman
about the commitment.
Your chairman was not shy about saying, hey, there's a possibility. Let's oust Senator San Nicolas because he's not really unified with us. Republicans had their own issues.
Oh,
well.
in all fairness, when there's a push to have a $100 million bond with 1 week to go, and a couple of Republican senators did not agree, then that put everybody into a different level, which probably should have been done weeks previous.
This brings back some memories of the 27th Guam legislature, and I'll tell you my theory when the numbers start coming in, whether or not, right? Because you work in administration.
Sure was.
I was in the 27th Guam legislature.
Right.
We were a minority. We were a minority at the time. We took the majority, okay? And as a result of a GRT increase at the time, and we stuck together as six, and constantly, almost on a daily basis, we were out there picketing to roll back the GRT. And of course, we weren't working at the Democrat minority at the time. We weren't working in concert with the administration. You remember that, Sean?
I do.
Remember that? Yeah. And so as a result, we took the majority in the 28th Guam legislature. Bree.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. We actually have word that there may be some results.
Oh, great.
That's pretty quick.
Great.
So let's head up to Election Central, where we find Ken Quintanilla. Ken, what do you have for us? Ken?
Mighty,
Okay, we will be
Barragata,
having
2 in
results.
Manila,
We just need
1 in Tamuning, and 3 precincts in Derrida.
Ken and Bear, I believe we have him on now. Let's go to Ken Quintanilla one more time. Results are just coming in over at Election Central. And let's listen in on the results that he has. Ken, what do you got?
Off today, I'm here at Election Central with the first set of results. It's been about an hour since the ballot started to be tabulated. This is, again, 12 precincts reporting so far, 12, I believe, out of over 60. These precincts include 1 in Hagåtña, 1 in Inarajan, 2 in Agana Heights, 1 in Mongtoto Mighty, 1 in Barragata, 2 in Manila, 1 in Tamuning, and 3 precincts in Derrida. Out of 5,961 ballots cast so far for the congressional race. We'll start off. We have Congresswoman Madeline Berdali with 2,957. Felix Camacho has 2,672, and there were 39 write-in votes. For the Guam legislature, coming in on top so far, again, 12 out of 67 precincts. We have Frank Uggan Jr. with 3,424, Therese Terlahi with 3,261, Michael San Nicolas with 3,137, Dennis Rodriguez Jr. in number 4 with 2,872, Selena Cruz Nelson with 2,797. Our first Republican on the list right now, we have Will Castro with 2,629. He's followed by Mary Camacho Torres with 2,514. Jim Espeldon with 2,504. Regine Bisco Lee with 2,494. Vice Speaker B.J. Cruz with 2,435, Luis Borja Muña with 2,370, Tom Atta with 2,235, Tommy Morrison with 2,179, and Tony Atta with 2,158. And at the number 15 spot so far, again, 12 out of 67 precincts, we have Fernando Esteves with 2,131. Followed shortly after, we have at number 16 spot, we have Frank Bloss Jr. with 2,125, Tina Rose Muña Barnes with 2,089, Joe San Augustine with 2,001 votes. He's followed next by former Senator Chris Dueñas with 1,993, followed by Rory Respicio at 1,952. He's followed by Narissa Underwood with 1,928. Next is Judy Wampat with 1,702. Next is Eric Palacios with 1,702. Judy Wampe got 1,845, and Eric Palacios has 1,702. He's followed by Amanda Blas with 1,665, Benny Servino with 1,650, Fred Berdalio with 1,561, Jermaine Alerta with 1,514, AJ Balahaja with 1,488, Brent McCready with 1,205, and rounding out the list so far, we have Jose San Augustine with 1,157. Again, this is only 12 out of 67 precincts so far, a little over close to 6,000 votes. We'll check with some of the mayoral races right now. For Hagåtña, John Cruz is running unopposed again. He has 232. For the other races, let me check. We have, for the Inarajan mayoral race, so far, 2 out of 3 precincts reporting. We have David Chargaloff with 238 votes, ahead of Doris Flores Lujan with 237. There was 1 write-in vote. We'll check out the other mayoral races. We have, for the Agana Heights mayor, again, Paul McDonald is running unopposed. He has 910 votes. For Mongmong Totu Maiti, with 1 of 3 precincts reporting, we have Johnny Taitano with 257, ahead of Rudy Paco with 247. Again, this is only 1 of 3 precincts with 18 write-in votes. For Barragata, Mayor June Blas has 477. She's running unopposed, as well as Vice Mayor Jesse Bautista, who has 451 votes. For the Manila race, we have Alan Ungakta with 660 votes against Rocky Alcantara with 333 votes. This is 2 of 5 precincts reporting so far. For the Manila vice mayor race, we have Thomas Duenas with 486 votes, ahead of Francisco Delgado with 473 votes. Again, this is only 2 of 5 precincts. Tamuning Mayor Luis Rivera only had 404 votes. She's running unopposed, as well as Vice Mayor Ken Sanchez with 374 votes as well. In the Dededo mayoral race, 3 of 15 precincts. We have Melissa Savares, the incumbent, with 551 votes, ahead of Steven Guerrero with 329 votes. More results we have for the Dededo vice mayoral race. We have Frank Beneventi with 575 against Bob Kanata with 556. Again, 3 out of 15 precincts so far. And then we have for the public auditor race, again, 12 out of 67 precincts. Doris Flores Brooks received 3,398 votes, ahead of Doreen Crisostomo with 2,171 votes. For the Guam Education Board, I know 6 positions were supposed to be, there's 6 spots, but 5 are running, or 6 are running, sorry about that. All 6 will be making it to the Guam Education Board. The highest vote getter was Peter Alexis Atta with 3,043 votes. James Andrew Castro Lujan with 2,279 votes. Maria Gutierrez with 2,126. Lourdes Nicholas, 2,045. Lou Beneventi with 2,038. And Ken Chargaloff with 1,839 votes. And then for the judicial retention question for Judge Vern Paris, he has 4,431 yes votes and 775 no votes. As for the presidential election, the poll shows so far Hillary Clinton receiving 3,773 votes, ahead of Donald Trump with 1,382 votes. Again, GEC Executive Director Maria Pangilinan says ever since Guam was doing the straw poll for the presidential election, Guam has always picked the winner. And again, this is Hillary Clinton ahead so far with 12 out of 67 precincts. For the CCU, we have Joseph Duenas, the top so far with 3,079 votes, ahead of former Senator Judy Guthers with 2,890 votes. And coming in at third is Eloy Hara with 1,831 votes. Again, this is 12 out of 67 precincts, and only 2 of the 3 will move on to be elected for the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. Again, this is 12 out of 67 precincts so far. The ballot boxes over there, those show a little bit more, about maybe a little over 20 so far. So we should be receiving some results coming in a little faster than usual. I know that they have 3 machines working as more than the primary election, and I thought that election was pretty fast. So this is moving at a quicker pace than I actually thought it would be. And I was speaking to Maria Pangilinan, though, and she noted that there wasn't any ballot problems. So hopefully we get more results by then. Again, keep it locked to the stations of KUAM for Decision 2016 live coverage. We'll have more results as they come in.
All right, thanks a lot, Ken Quintanilla. Looks like things are going pretty smoothly, pretty quickly from Election Central in Manila. Again, 12, I believe, precincts have been tabulated so far. Let's take a look at the results for the congressional race. And it is Madeline Berdallo with 2,957 votes over Felix Camacho, former governor, with 2,672 votes. Again, that is a look at the results for the congressional race with 12 precincts tabulated so far. Now let's move on to the senatorial race, and we're looking at the top 18 for now. And right now at the top spot, incumbent Senator Frank Uggan Jr. with 3,424 votes, followed by number 2, Attorney Therese Terlahi with 3,261 votes. And number 3, Michael San Nicolas, another incumbent with 3,137 votes. At number 4, Dennis Rodriguez Jr., 2,872 votes. At number 5, newcomer Talina Nelson with 2,797 votes. And at number 6, Will Castro, 2,629 votes. Again, that is 12 precincts that have been tabulated. At number 7, incumbent Mary Torres with 2,514 votes. Number 8, Jim S. Baldon, 2,504 votes. At number 9, Regine Lee, 2,494 votes. At number 10, BJ Cruz, 2,435 votes. At number 11, Luis Muña, 2,370 votes. At number 12, Tom Atta, 2,235 votes. And at number 13, Tommy Morrison, 14, Tony Atta with 2,158 votes. At number 15, Fernando Esteves, 2,131 votes. At 16, incumbent Frank Bloss Jr., 17, another incumbent Tina Muñoz Barnes, and at 18, Joe San Agustin. Again, those are the results from 12 precincts that have been tabulated so far by the Guam Election Commission. Of course, they are running 3 tabulation machines tonight, so things are running rather quickly. So let's go on to the rest of the results. At number 19, Chris Duenas. And we will take a look at those numbers. Obviously, that is off, but he had 1,993 votes. Rory Respicio was at number 20 with 1,952 votes. At 21 was Dr. Narissa Underwood. 22, Speaker Judy Wanpat. 23, Eric Palacios with 1,702 votes. Now, you can actually look at these results right now on KUAM.com. But earlier, we spoke with some of the, we were at the headquarters, and so let's check in now with Crystal Paco.
Half a day, I'm Crystal Paco here at the Republican headquarters in Mighty for what we're going to call all night repping the Republicans. I'm with Benny Pinalo, the Sergeant at Arms for the Republican Party. Tell me, what was the feeling at the polls today?
Well, I had a very good opportunity to go around and visit with our polls, our folks at the different polls, and it was really a big party. You know, nowhere else but Guam where, you know, we have a party to thank our people for voting. And it was great. To Mooning, we had such great turnout up there. Our folks that were manning the poll booth there, they were, you know, really enjoying themselves. Great food, great music, great company.
Can you tell me again, why is it important to vote Republican and to have that Republican majority in the Senate, in the legislature?
Well, I would say one thing. I would say that the Republican Party gives you hope. When you look around and you see all the improvements, you know, here on Guam, you see the new Guam Museum, you see Festback a few months ago. I mean, those are things that give our people hope that we have a better future, a brighter future, especially for our next generation.
And what can you say about your Republican candidate for Congress?
Oh, well, we're very excited about our Republican candidates, all of them, for Congress, for the legislatures, the mayors and vice mayor. These are people, you know, who are dedicating themselves to service for our people of Guam. And, you know, it takes a lot to do that, you know, and they have worked very hard. And I can only say one thing about all of them, you know, that we're very appreciative of their sacrifice.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I'd like to say, you know, please come on down to the Republican headquarters. We're here, we're having a party, you know, we're going to enjoy ourselves tonight. And, you know, we worked hard and we did our best.
Even though it's a school night, we will be here in Mighty again at the Republican headquarters. This is Benny Pinella, and back to you in studio.
All right, thanks a lot, Crystal Paco, reporting from the Republican Party of Guam headquarters. Now let's head on over to the Democratic Party of Guam headquarters, where Isa Baza is standing by. Isa.
Hello, today I'm Isa Baza, and I'm here at the Democratic headquarters, which is here at Shirley's in Tamuning, and I'm with Congresswoman Madeline Berdalio's campaign manager, John Calvo. So, John, how has the campaign been this year?
Well, it's been definitely a long campaign, and I think the Congresswoman has acknowledged that just prior to this general election, and it's been an awesome journey. It's been a great trial for the Democratic Party, and in particular Congresswoman Berdalio in this election.
So, what was the game plan today? I know I actually saw you a couple of times today. I think at Momo and Tatumaiti, even in Manilao. So what was that like, wrapping up the election?
Right. So, of course, our day started early, and the Congresswoman voted first in Tamuning, which is her village or her precinct. And then from there, she went around the island, visiting each of the polling sites and our hospitality tents throughout the island. And I followed along with her on most of the stops, just getting the vote out, getting our Democrats and our island and our voters excited about coming out to vote and making sure that they exercise that very important right.
Okay, and so there are some differences this year. You know, social media is playing a bigger role than ever before. And I actually just saw her go live on my Facebook feed. So how is that playing a role in campaigning now with this election?
Right, it's definitely a very integral part of the campaign. It's allowing us an opportunity to go live, to really interact with voters through social media. And so she's been able to do that. Our press team, our media team has been out there since early this morning, making sure that they update photos, go Facebook Live, getting out the vote. So that was very important.
All right, well, thanks so much, Sean. Of course, we'll be here throughout the night, waiting for those updates from Election Central. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Isa Baza.
Thanks a lot, Isa, reporting from the Democratic Party of Guam headquarters. Let's recap the results one more time. Again, there's 13 out of 67 precincts that have been tabulated. And in the congressional race, it's Madeline Berdalio over Felix Camacho. Moving on now to the legislative race, starting with your top 18. Frank Uggan Jr. with 3,424 votes, followed by Therese Terlahi. Number 3, Michael San Nicolas. At number 4, Dennis Rodriguez Jr. Number 5, Talina Nelson. Number 6, Will Castro. At number 7, incumbent Mary Torres. Number 8, Jim Espaldon. Number 9, Regine Lee. Number 10, BJ Cruz. 11, Luis Muñe. And number 12, Tom Atta. 13, Tommy Morrison. 14, Tony Atta. 15, Fernando Esteves. 16, Frank Bloss Jr. 17, Tina Muñoz Barnes. And 18, Joe San Agustin. Once again, this is 13 out of 67 precincts that have been tabulated. That is about 20%. Moving on to number 19, Chris Duenas. Roy Respicio at number 20 and 21. Nerissa Underwood, 22. Judy Wanpat. At number 23, Eric Palacios. 24, Amanda Bloss. At number 25, Ben Servino. At 26, Fred Berdalio. 27, Jermaine Alerta. 28, AJ Balahaja. 29, Brent McCready. And number 13, Jose San Agustin. Again, you can look at those results right now on KUAM.com. But for now, let's go to our analysts to get their take on these results. Guys?
Well, gents, looks like Agania Heights is probably the only village that is totally tallied at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's 13 and 13A.
13 and 13A. Yeah. We've got one from Dededo. It looks like probably maybe the smallest precinct. We have the Dededo. It's precinct 8 to 18F.
Yeah, I think
H through F.
Right. I think you have, and then right now it's so early, whether or not there'd be, these are partials. It's hard to tell from some of the information we're getting. But Tamuning 17D, which is one, which is of course we're waiting for 17, which is where that's Governor Camacho's and the stronghold of the entire Republican Party right now in Tamuning, which actually won Governor Calvo's last election or 2 elections ago for governor. as well. That's number 17.
Yeah, Barragado's got one in, Mangilao's got one, Inarahan's got one in as well. So yeah, the big heavy villages basically have not come in that yet. Actually, Dededo's got 3 precincts, and you have 18F, 18L, and M as well. So yeah, so that Jigo, Tamuning as well have not come in yet. Actually, Tamuning has come in just 17D.
Right, and the precincts in Dededo at Ukudu, that's the former gauntlet, where they used to call it, is 18A, 18B, C, D, and E, really make up the lion's share of Dededo's votes right now, and none of those are in yet. I think Ron was saying during the break that's going to change things, won't it?
Yeah, it will.
Yeah.
And those are about 23% of the total vote on Guam. So almost a whole quarter of the islands in one fairly small place. And so I think it's a pretty neat dynamic. It's kind of fun. I think this is the roller coaster portion of our election tonight. And we're going to see a lot of ups and downs. I think we're going to see several go up and down significantly.
Yeah, this is just a clear case of the more you know, the more you don't know. With only 12 of 67 in, I think what the candidates are probably feeling now is that they all ran great races. They're looking at some early results, but this will change within the next half hour. As soon as more precincts are turned in, it'll be a little bit more of settling of where the candidates will end up in the final.
But well, I think with these first initial results coming out, I think it's safe to say that you have a few incumbents that are probably down to again to the nail cuticles. I think they've bitten all their nails off at this point.
Right. I mean, if you look, I think is it 6 incumbents right now that are currently somewhere, nowhere. Okay, I should say nowhere in the top 15.
You know, guys, I think after this election, I'm going to go into predicting the weather.
With all those great students over there?
Actually, they did.
You're going to join the weary group over there. Okay.
Well, the makeup as it is right now, if it stays this way, the first results come in, of course, it's a 8-7 Democrat majority at this point. Yeah. How's that make you feel there, Tony?
No, but I mean, it makes me feel fine. It makes me feel great. I think what's also making me happy right now about the early results is just the performance of the Democratic candidates who are new to the race. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, actually 3, Therese Terlahi and Talina Nelson and Regine Lee, who are polling within the top 10. And Republicans have 2 newcomers, Will Castro and Fernando Esteves.
Actually, and Luis Muñoz.
Oh, I'm sorry, and Luis Muñoz. I mean, given that out of a body of 15, that there are 6 new candidates that are, that are at least polling right now. Again, it's so early. I mean, this is going to change as soon as.
One phenomenon, Tony, and I think we were talking about it in the break was the impact that former Senator Ted Nelson having on this, it's a different bunch of people, but his impact on elections, are we going to see a little bit more of that today in this one?
Oh, I think absolutely. I mean, it's not only former Vice Speaker Nelson, but it's him and former deceased Gloria Nelson. I mean, that family's public service and to our island is something to wholly be admired, and Talina is trying to walk in those same footsteps, and her grandfather, the Vice Speaker, is doing all he can. He's been very active this campaign season for her.
There was another thing that Talina did, and I know she was a frequent caller to our show, and one thing that a couple things that Talina did was came out, and she talked about war reparations, okay? But she talked about war reparations not in the sense of the war reparations and give it to us and all that. She said in lieu of what has been promised to us years ago, and then she kind of took the situation that we're in right now in the sense of GovGuam insurance situation, where they're all lumped into one insurance situation, where that GovGuam is looking for a way to kind of carve out the retirees, have them not be lumped in one GovGuam component, because that contributes a lot to the cost of not only in government contribution to health insurance, but also the employee situation, okay? And so she said, what has been promised to us in the past, water reparations, goes, and what has been granted to us, but we opted out when we saw the cost of the Affordable Care Act. She goes, in lieu of water reparations, why don't we try to get the Affordable Care Act, again, have that applicable to Guam, and have the retirees and war survivors have that in lieu of that. So she had a different mechanism in trying to make this work, and I think that resonated with the folks, with the retirees. Again, as you said, talking again, you know, what her grandmother and grandfather stood for. So went on that and talking again about the military that was just here. They're out here in training. They said, hey, we ought to move to be able to get some kind of compensation when these men and women come out here to exercise for the amount of time that they're here exercising, that let's get their tax dollars to Section 30, you know, because they're not stationed here. So that money does not come here. So for the period of time, whether it's 2 weeks or a month or 2 months, whatever it may be, let's capture their tax monies and have that come to Guam. They use our land, they use our airspace and all that. So I think that resonated with the folks out there.
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, Talina has proven herself a very worthwhile candidate. Her first time out, you know, being a soldier, an educator, and clearly walking in the footsteps of
combat medic.
A combat medic, and walking in the footsteps of her grandparents.
Yeah,
I salute her every time I see her.
Sure.
But I mean, the Democrats have always had, you know, in my opinion, a very strong slate of candidates, and all the candidates that have come up, even running in their first time out. I mean, we have Therese Terlahi, who's clearly polling very high, and she polled in the primary very high. Counsel for the Guam legislature, very strong Democratic family. The Terlahi's, Regine Bisco Lee, you know, with the experience that she's had in DC, Fred Berdalio, Fred Berdalio as well. I mean, he's a Berdalio. He was former chief of police. Democrats always have a lot of ideas. I'm glad that we're talking about the ideas of Democrats during the campaign. Jermaine Alerta has had, you know, experience in both the executive and the legislative branch, working for both Republicans and Democrats.
Yes. Yeah. Well.
Thanks a lot to our analysts, Sean Gumatao, Jess Lujan, Tony Babalta, and Ron McNinch. We'll be checking in with you guys a little bit later. Again, 13 out of 67 precincts have been tabulated. That's about 20%. It's still early. And one of the big races, of course, we are watching is the mayoral race in the village of Dededo. There are some numbers that already are out for the village of Dededo. Melissa Savaras has 551 votes to Stephen Guerrero's 329. Let's see what they will do if they are elected as mayor of Dededo.
What motivates me to continue my work here in Dededo is to see that when we develop programs and facilities, work with the agencies to provide facilities, the users, the end product is when the users actually come out as a family. And it's not just one or two individuals, it's an entire family unit that comes out to partake and participate in the different events that are happening at all of our facilities.
I've decided to run for Dededo mayor simply because I believe for the last, I'll say 8 years, having lived here in Dededo, you know, I just get a little frustrated of not seeing any improvement in our village over the last several years. And because of that, I think I can honestly make a good, sincere effort in making some changes in the village with the ideas and programs I have in mind that may basically help the village progress in a forward movement and get more things done, which haven't been done over the last 8 years.
I work closely with government agencies and nonprofit organizations to build facilities that our people, our residents here in our community and all over the island, the entire island community can come to our village to participate in. I've worked closely with Guam Housing and Urban Development for recreational facilities such as the sports complex, the swimming pool, the walking trail. I've worked with Guam Housing and GURA as well for affordable housing projects for our communities, for our residents. And we currently have programs such as summer camp activities, our sports programs, our youth basketball, youth soccer, baseball for the Little League and Babe Ruth are very active here. We have a lot of participants that come from most of our team members come from the village of Dedido.
My biggest project right now would be the development and the restoration and the upgrade of Lechon Park. Lechon Park is a park that's right across Santa Barbara Church. That park has been so neglected over so many years that it's come to the point where nobody even wants to look at it. I pass through it every day, and I get kind of like, frustrated that the park looks so run down. The playground facilities are just in deplorable shape. The basketball court, which was just renovated, I believe 6 months ago, again, it's just has run down because I think in its reconstruction, they didn't do a good job in doing it. And that will be my first project to get Dedido up and running.
Currently, we've completed the construction of the Farmers Co-op and the expansion of our new flea market area. And we are continuing to work closely with the farmers and on developing their business plan. And then once that's developed, then we all can meet together and be together as one organization in our new facility. We are also working collaboratively with Guam Housing and Urban Development, GURA, to expand on our use of the facility of the Yastumbo Gymnasium, where we will also, in times of crisis and disaster, will convert that facility to a post-disaster facility where families can, after the shelter is closed, can come while they're rebuilding their homes and their places to be in a safe haven until they can be either going to a new home or finish their cleanup in their particular areas where their disaster occurred.
If you look at the park, I'm not too sure exactly what the park is. I don't even know if there's a name of it that runs along Marine Drive from Waisensong all the way down to, I believe, to Salisbury Street. I mean, that's a beautiful stretch of property. And unfortunately, that area has not been upkept for the last, gosh, I can't even count how bad. The grass gets about 5 feet tall before they decide to cut it. Whatever the excuses may be, for me, I think keeping an area, especially along Marine Drive, neat and tidy, just makes people feel good.
All right, we understand that there may be some new results coming out of Election Central. That is where we'll check in now with Ken Kitsanidze, who's actually going through those results. So
Ken Kitsanidze here at Election Central at UOG Calvo Fieldhouse. We have the latest set of results. Again, 28 out of 67 precincts reporting so far. That's a little over 13,000 votes. For the congressional race, we'll head into it. We have Congresswoman Mallory Berdalio with 6,891 votes, ahead of Felix Camacho with 6,202 votes and 88 write-in votes. For the Guam legislature, we have again 28 out of 67 precincts. Coming out top so far, we have Frank Blas Uggan Jr. with 8,024 votes. He's followed second with Therese Terlahi with 7,617. Michael St. with 7,511. Dennis Rodriguez Jr. with 6,637. Talina Cruz Nelson with 6,556. Will Castro with 6,228. Mary Camacho Torres with 5,860. James Espaldon with 5,850, ahead of Regine Bisco Lee with 5,840. Vice Speaker BJ Cruz with 5,640. Luis Munoz with 5,410. Tom Atta with 5,154. Tommy Morrison with 5,065. Tony Atta with 4,927. And at the number 15 spot so far, we have Fernando Esteves with 4,897. He's followed next by Frank Blas Uggan Jr. with 4,889. Tina Rose Munoz Barnes with 4,740. Joe St. Augustine with 4,658. Narissa Underwood with 4,530. Chris Duenas with 4,476. Speaker Judy Wampat, 4,415. Incumbent Rory Respicio with 4,386. He's followed by Eric Palacios with 3,866. Amanda Bloss is next with 3,811. Fred Bordalio with 3,663. Benny Servino with 3,647. Jermaine Alerta with 3,636. AJ Balahaja with 3,471. Senator Brant McCready with 2,744. And rounding out the senatorial race, we have Jose St. Augustine with 2,698 and we have 232 votes. Again, this is only 28 out of 67 precincts. We'll head up to the mayoral race now. We have, again, the Hagåtña race is already called. John Cruz, 232. He's running unopposed. And we have the Inarajan mayoral race, 3 of 3 precincts. So Doris Flores Lujan came out on top with 782 ahead of David Chargaloff, 612. So that means Doris Flores Lujan appears to have won the election for Inarajan. Again, 3 out of 3 precincts, and there was 2 write-in votes. For the Mayor Orta Chalampago race, 2 of 3 precincts. Incumbent Jesse Gogi received 702 votes ahead of Wooly Brennan with 500 votes. Again, that's 2 of 3 precincts with 3 write-in votes. For the Jotnya mayoral race, 1 of 3 precincts, Jesse Bloss has 557 with 64 write-in votes. And then we have, again, for the Momontotu Mighty race, we have 2 of 3 precincts. We have Rudy Paco with 520 ahead of Johnny Taituno with 479 and 34 write-in votes. Again, that's 2 of 3 precincts, and Rudy Paco is on top so far. Marigata mayoral race, again, 4 of 4 precincts. It's already called. No opponents there. June Bloss and Vice Mayor Jesse Bautista will go on to win. And for the Dedido race, 6 of 15 precincts. Melissa Savares, the incumbent, she has 1,227 votes ahead of Stephen Guerrero with 697 votes. And we should note there's 663 write-in votes as well. Again, that's 6 of 15 precincts reporting in Dedido, with Melissa Savares with over 1,200 votes ahead of Stephen Guerrero and a little over 600 write-in votes. The Tamuning mayoral race, again, those are running unopposed. The Manila race, I think we reported this as well, 2 of 5 precincts. Alan Ungacta, 660, ahead of Rocky Alcantara with 333 votes. The vice mayoral race, Thomas Duenas with 486, ahead of Francisco Delgado with 473 votes. In the Dedido vice mayoral race, we have Frank Beneventi with 1,263 votes, ahead of Bob Kanata with 1,153 votes, and there was 42 write-in votes for that village. Nothing yet for Jigo. For the public auditor race, 28 out of 67 precincts. We have 7,896 for Doris Flores Brooks, ahead of Doreen Chrysostoma with 4,940 votes, with 22 write-in votes. For the judicial retention question for Judge Vern Perez, we have 10,195 votes for yes and 1,812 for no. For the presidential race, Hillary Clinton has 8,806 votes ahead of Donald Trump with 3,169. Again, that's 28 out of 67 precincts. And for the CCU, we have Joseph Duenas on top with 7,086 votes, and Judy Gutherz with 6,714 votes, ahead of Eloy Harrow with 4,237. Again, this is 28 out of 67 precincts. 2 of the 3 candidates for the CCU will be elected. Again, that's 28 out of 67 precincts. The precincts include Hagåtña, 2 from Inarajan, 1 in Jotnya, 2 in Orta Chalampago, 2 in Agana Heights, 2 in Momontotu Mighty, 4 in Barrigada, 2 in Manila, 4 in Tamuning, and 6 in Dedido. Again, that's 28 out of 67 precincts. As we get the results, we'll report them to you live. Again, from UOG Central, I'm Ken Cataniza. Keep it locked to KUAM.
All right, Ken Quintanilla with the latest results. I believe that was 28 out of 67 precincts that have been tabulated. Let's take a look at the results on your screen, beginning with the congressional race. Madeline Berdallo, 6,891 votes to former Governor Felix Camacho's 6,202 votes. Again, that is 28 out of 67 precincts that have been tabulated. Let's move on to the legislative race and your top 18. Frank Uggan Jr., the top spot with 8,024 votes, followed by Therese Terlahi, 7,617 votes. At number 3, Michael St. Nicholas, 7,511 votes. At number 4, Dennis Rodriguez Jr., 6,637 votes. At number 5, Talina Nelson, 6,556 votes. At number 6, Will Castro, 6,228 votes. At number 7, incumbent Mary Torres, 5,860 votes. At number 8, Jim Espaldon, 5,850 votes. At number 9, Regine Lee with 5,840 votes. At number 10, BJ Cruz, 5,640 votes. At number 11, Luis Muña, 5,410 votes. At number 12, incumbent Tom Atta, 5,154 votes. At number 13, Tommy Morrison, 5,065 votes. Tony Atta, 14, with 4,927. And rounding out the top 15, Fernando Esteves, 4,897 votes. Number 16, Frank Bloss Jr., 4,889 votes. At number 17, Tina Muñoz Barnes, 4,740 votes. And Joe San Augustine at number 18, 4,658 votes. Now you can look at the complete results right now on KUAM.com. Moving on in the senatorial race at number 19, Dr. Narissa Underwood, 4,530 votes. Number 20, former Senator Chris Duenas, 4,476 votes. Number 21, Speaker Judy Wanpat, 4,415 votes. At number 22, Rory Respicio, 4,386 votes. Number 23, former Guam EPA Administrator Eric Palacios with 3,866 votes. At number 24, Amanda Bloss, 3,811 votes. 25, Fred Berdallo. 26, Ben Servino. 27, Jermaine Alerta. 28, AJ Balahaja. 29, Brent McCready. And number 30, Jose San Augustine. Once again, you can review the complete results on KUAM.com. Let's now head on over to the Republican Party of Guam headquarters and check in with Crystal Paco.
Day. I'm Crystal Paco again, repping the Republicans here at the Mighty headquarters, and I am with senatorial hopeful Amanda Bloss Castro. But you don't see that on the signs. Again, congratulations on her wedding recently.
Thank you so much.
Can you tell me a little bit about your day-to-day? I mean, imagine it was very busy.
Yeah, so this is my first time running, so it was a great new experience for me. I got to visit every single village, got to hear the concerns and thoughts of every single resident that was out there today, and so I do want to say thank you to everybody who did share their concerns with me, and I definitely want to say thank you to everyone who supported me and for all the hospitality I received when I went around the villages too.
Can I just add that Amanda is the youngest candidate? Yeah. How old are you?
I am 24.
And don't you need to be 25?
You actually have to be 25 on the day of inauguration, and my birthday is the day of the inauguration.
Okay, so let's hope you get an awesome birthday present. Yes. Can you talk more about maybe inspiring other youth, or not youth, but young adults to run?
Well, one of the main reasons why I did decide to run was I was raised by my grandparents, and they always taught me, well, when we get older, that I'll take care of them. It shouldn't be different for our government or our island. So I definitely did this, one, to honor them, and two, to inspire everybody in my generation to step up. I definitely think it's time that we step up. This is our island. It's time to learn from the greatest generation and to make sure that our generation contributes as well. So I definitely hope I inspired everyone.
And last question, if elected, what's the first piece of legislation you're going to introduce?
Well, one thing that I'm very passionate right now about is a hospitality charter school. I'm big on opportunities for the people of Guam. And as everybody knows, tourism is our #1 industry. And we just celebrated a wonderful record-breaking year. So kudos to GVB and the tourism industry. And I want to make sure that our people have first dibs at these careers in the hospitality industry. And what better way than to prepare them with our island's first hospitality charter school. So that's definitely my priority.
Okay, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
And back to you in studio.
Thanks a lot, Crystal Paco, repping the Republicans, and as you just saw, with an interview with Amanda Bloss. Let's head on over now to the Democratic Party of Guam headquarters in Tamuning. That is where we find our Isabaza.
Hi, I'm Isabaza, and I'm here at the Democratic headquarters at Shirley's in Twinning with Derek Baza Hills, strategist involved in several campaigns in Agate. So can you tell us, what was the voter turnout like earlier today?
Well, Issa, the voter turnout was absolutely great. I think this year is most important compared to other elections, because not only do we have the local election retaining the congressional race for seniority in Congress, but it's a presidential race across the United States, and also mayors and vice mayors, and the Guam legislature. So it was a great turnout in terms of my views when I went to Asin, Maina, and Agate, were my hometown.
Okay, so I understand that you're going to be getting an update later this evening or early in the morning about the presidential election. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. I've been in contact with Democratic strategist Maria Cardona of the Clinton campaign, and we're going to be getting a call at around 3 a.m. Guam time on the update of the early voting that has ended just today. And also, we're going to be seeing some early results from states that are going to be leaning blue or state blue or Democrat, and states that are state Republican. And right now, with the email probe that is concluded, no longer are we talking about that with the Clinton campaign. It's all about the issues. So at 3 a.m., we should be getting some good results, and it should be positive for the Democrats, for Secretary Clinton.
All right, thanks so much, Derek. Well, of course, stay tuned to KUAM for all the latest updates. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Isabaza.
All right, thanks a lot, Isabaza, down with the Democrats, and as you just saw with Derek Baza Hills. Let's recap some of the results, beginning with the public auditor race. Doris Flores Brooks, the incumbent, 7,896 votes over Doreen Crisostomo with 4,940 votes. On to the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. Let's take a look at the results for that nonpartisan race. Joseph Duenas, he's currently the chairperson of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. He has 7,086 votes. Former Senator Dr. Judy Guthertz at number 2 with 6,714 votes. And at number 3, Eloy Hera with 4,237 votes. Again, 2 seats are up for grabs on the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. And there is a question of judicial retention on the ballot also for Superior Court of Guam Judge Vern Paris. 10,195 people said yes to retain Superior Court Judge Vern Paris, and 1,812 said no. Now, for the big race going on in the mainland, the presidential race. Here is the results from the straw poll. At number 1, Hillary Clinton with 8,806 votes. At number 2, Donald Trump, 3,169 votes. And at number 3, Midio Solsticks with 503 votes. And let's check in now with our analysts to get their take on the latest round of results. 28 out of 67 precincts tabulated so far, guys.
Well, gents, it looks like 6 new ones are in and 6 incumbents are out. And the speaker, 21, nothing has changed. The second round of numbers that come in.
Yeah, but I think what's important to note, Jess, is that we got the 3 Barrigada districts in. We got Chalampago Ordot in. Arahan is just about complete, and the first couple of districts from Tamuning. But then you also have again the first out of Ukadu, or the precinct 18.
Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of Dedo.
Right.
Yes, 6 precincts out of Dedo already have come in.
So and we're looking about what 13,000 votes have already been tabulated. So it is very interesting, but very early. Again, this is barely we're kind of not even a third of the way, right?
Yeah, all of Arahan is in. All of Agana Heights are in. We're waiting for 1 more out of Barrigada, or the Chalampago, 1 more as well to come in. And yeah, so still pretty heavy, but again, even the placings, I think in this one here, that's what is astonishing at this point, because normally at this point, even in the second round numbers that would come in, you'll have a place or 2 that will switch within the top 15, but it hasn't yet.
Well, I think that the key thing to look at these results is we only have 1,500 votes separating 15 candidates between 8 and 22.
Yeah.
And so that's
Yeah,
the key thing we need to remember here. And 1,500 votes, you know, it may sound like a lot, but we still have a whole lot of votes to count, and there's no telling where the pockets of strength or weakness are for these candidates. And so we'll see where it goes. I do believe that some candidates have benefited from a lot of minimal ballot usage, meaning that a lot of people use
single shot.
three or four candidates at a time, and exit polls can't predict that, and so that's the problem with it. Is,
but I thought both sides called for unity.
Well, no, here's my question about bullet voting.
Right.
Bullet voting in and of itself has a connotation that there's a concerted effort to do something for one candidate.
Right.
It would seem to me, just hearing hearing people during the campaign season, voters talking about calling in, writing letters, opinion pages, Facebook, social media. Voters this year were more selective than they have been in previous years. They themselves have a conscious effort that they're not going to exercise 15 of their votes, that they would only vote less than. They wouldn't exhaust the entire 15. So, you know, I just wanted to make sure that was clear, right?
Yeah, but also sometimes fires will start before the election that don't get properly put out. And it can burn right through the election.
But the activity was a little bit different. And we talked about this on D16.
A little deep.
D16 throughout the last couple of weeks, that though they were, you know, trying to kindle a fire. I mean, a couple of different efforts between the Citizens for, I guess, the Better Government, whatever that is, and the other groups and people calling in and the like. We didn't think anything of them, honestly. And then a poll from, you had a poll at Simon Sanchez, which one longtime lawmaker told me not to discount that poll, but I mean, but behavior has surely changed.
And some people light their own fires.
Right.
But likewise, you know, I think the general public in general, I think the consensus out there, regardless of who's asking the question, I think the general consensus is that people wanted some new breed of politicians in there. That's what whatever the issues may be.
But just when you say new breed, and I've been talking to you about this for the last 2 weeks. If you look at new breed, so then okay, so we have someone who's been in the legislature for 16 years. You have others here who have been even a bit, at that time. So when you say new breed, it's only a couple people.
There's 6 new ones here. 6 are out, and yeah, you're right about the definition of a new breed, someone being there for a long time. But also on the other hand, people, I mean, even in the interviews today with KUAM, folks will say, you know, we wanted some new ones, but you know what? I still kept some old ones in. So I think we want a whole new.
You kind of want new, but you really.
I want to keep them in check. Yeah. You know what, Tony? What surprised me here? Okay, because I said this in the very beginning, and I thought Therese Terlahi was going to finish strong. She's a known Democrat. Family infrastructure is there. Talina Nelson as well. But so I'm very surprised. Fred Berdallo, even the way he finished in the primary, you know, he's the only Berdallo blood basically that's out there, and he definitely has the Berdallo-crat infrastructure. Why didn't he piggyback on Madeline's success? People love Madeline. That success, and the fact that Fred Berdallo was the police chief under Calvo, could have gotten both sides.
Yeah.
Anyway,
on the other hand,
more for later.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, it's one of those things where I think even as a candidate, win or lose, you want to take a step election, trying to figure out what your weaknesses were, what your strengths were, what resonated and what didn't. Before we move on any further, though, I just wanted to point out and congratulate incumbent Mayor Doris Lujan for keeping her seat in the village of Unofficial. It's the only village right now that has reported all precincts. I think they've made the call over, maybe at the Guam Election Commission or not, but I think we're comfortable making the call that Doris Lujan will continue to be the mayor of Unofficial. Congratulations to her.
Congratulations.
All right, thanks a lot, guys, for your perspective. 28 out of 67 precincts that have been tabulated in the villages of Hagatnya. John Cruz, incumbent, it looks like he's running unopposed. In Arahan, as Tony just mentioned, Doris Lujan. We can pretty much called that she will be continue to be the mayor of Inarajan. In the village of Jonya, also another unopposed race there with Jesse Blas. Warachel and Pago, we're still waiting for the final results there. Aganya Heights, Paul McDonald, he's running unopposed, so he will retain his seat as mayor of Aganya Heights. MTM, there's a close race between Rudy Paco and John Taitano. In the village of Barragata, June Blas and Jesse Bautista, they're running unopposed, so they, for the most part, can claim victory tonight. In Mangilao, all we know at this point is that there will be a new mayor for the village of Mangilao. In the village of Tamuning, Luis Rivera and Kenneth Santos, they are running unopposed. So for the most part, they will continue to serve in their positions. And in the village of Dededo, Melissa Savaras is widening her gap over Stephen Guerrero. We'll have more results, more reaction, more on everything decision 2016 after the break.
Tonight's Decision 2016 broadcast is brought to you with promotional consideration from
It's a day to come together and give back.
In any way you can.
From large gestures to small ones.
We can all make a difference.
The KUAM Care Force is once again joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Giving Tuesday is a day when charities, businesses, students, and families all around the world unite for one cause.
To celebrate and encourage giving.
So help us kick off the season of giving by joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Make a donation.
Coordinate a drive for those in need.
Volunteer your time and talents.
Participate in an act of kindness.
The possibilities are endless. Send us a message and let us know what you're planning.
And be sure to use hashtag Giving Tuesday on all your social media posts.
For more information, you can visit our website or givingtuesday.org.
We can all
make a difference
on Giving
Tuesday.
The Good Life, all month long on the stations and networks of KUAM. Check the KUAM News app or KUAM.com for all program listings.
This December,
Hairspray Live.
Live.
The biggest stars come together for the musical event of the season. Hairspray Live, this December on NBC.
Pacific Extreme Combat is back on Friday, November 18th. Former champion Kyle Luggan faces off against Trevin Jones to settle their rivalry and determine the interim bantamweight world champion. Plus, the flyweight title is on the line as breakout Hawaiian star Riley Dudrow takes on the veteran bone crusher Darren Yanoyama. Come witness history at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse. 2 main events, 2 new champions, 1 epic night of fight. PXC 55, presented by Miller Lite, IT and the stations of KUAM. Also brought to you by these fine sponsors. Be a part of the action at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. and fight action starts at 7:30. Tickets are on sale now at all 76 Circle K locations, Anderson ITT, MWR, and online at tpiguam.com. With VIP tickets also available online at tpiguam.com and at Cars Plus in Mighty. EXE 55 is a tropical production.
Watch Health Check every Tuesday for community health information, advisories, and news you and your family can use for leading a healthier lifestyle. Health Check during KUAM News Extras, Health, Home, and Lifestyle. Health Check is presented by Island Cancer Center.
Well, here we are. Good morning, and NBC begins a new program called Today. This is a program from America to America. I hope we can give you enough to stay with you for a long time.
It's a day to come together and give back.
In any way you can.
From large gestures to small ones.
We can all make a difference.
The KUAM Care Force is once again joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Giving Tuesday is a day when charities, businesses, students, and families all around the world unite for one cause.
To celebrate and encourage giving.
So help us kick off the season of giving by joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Make a donation.
Coordinate a drive for those in need.
Volunteer your time and talents.
Participate in an act of kindness.
The possibilities are endless. Send us a message and let us know
what you're planning.
And be sure to use hashtag Giving Tuesday on all your social media posts.
For more information, you can visit our website or givingtuesday.org.
We can all
Make a difference
on Giving
Tuesday.
Health, home, and lifestyle. News and information on wellness, health, balance, and fitness. Join Isabaza on Tuesdays for instant motivation, inspiration, and important health news from around our community. Presented by Paradise Fitness. Exercise is medicine.
This December,
Hairspray Live.
Live.
The biggest stars come together for the musical event of the season. Hairspray Live. This December on NBC.
The Good Life, all month long on the stations and networks of KUAM. Check the KUAM News app or KUAM.com for all program listings.
Health, home, and lifestyle. News and information on wellness, health, balance, and fitness. Join Isabaza on Tuesdays for instant motivation, inspiration, and important health news from around our community. Presented by Paradise Fitness. Exercise is medicine.
Well, here we are. Good morning to you. And NBC begins a new program called Today. This is a program from America to America. We hope we can give you enough to stay with you for a long time.
Off day, everybody, and welcome back to KUM's coverage of Decision 2016. We hear that there are more results from Election Central in Manila, so let's check in right now with Ken Quintanilla.
Wowza, man. It's a little after 11 and we already have 40 out of 67 precincts reporting. That's more than 50% so far. Pretty fast, if I could say. Again, we have over 20,000 ballots cast so far. We'll start with the congressional race. Congresswoman Madeline Bardali receives 10,602 votes, ahead of Felix Camacho with 9,188 and 128 write-ins. Again, that's 10,602 for Bardalio and 9,188 for Camacho. For the Guam legislature, we have Frank Blas Ugin Jr. with 12,330. He's followed by Therese Cherlahi with 11,598. Michael St. Nicholas with 11,477. Dennis Rodriguez Jr. with 10,340. Talina Cruz Nelson with 9,975. Will Castro follows next with 9,260. Regine Bisco Lee with 8,869 votes. Jim Espaldon with 8,828 votes. Mary Camacho Torres with 8,718 votes. Vice Speaker BJ Cruz with 8,534 votes. Luis Muñoz with 8,189. Tom Atta with 7,791 votes. Tommy Morrison with 7,586 votes. Joe San Augustine with 7,332. And rounding out the top 15 so far is Tina Rose Muñoz Barnes with 7,331 votes. Again, that's 42 out of 67 precincts. At the number 16 spot so far, we have Tony Atta with 7,286 votes. Fernando Esteves with 7,258. Frank Blas Jr. with 7,202 votes. Narissa Underwood with 7,086 votes. Incumbent Rory Respicio as well with 6,873. Judy Wampat with 6,857. Chris Duenas with 6,564. Eric Palacios with 5,749. Amanda Blas with 5,724. Fred Bardalio with 5,609 votes. Jermaine Alerta with 5,553 votes. Benny Servino with 5,538. AJ Balahaja with 5,190. Jose San Augustine with 4,116 votes. And rounding out the list is incumbent Brant McCready in last with 4,089 votes. Again, this is only 40 out of 67 precincts. For the mayoral race, we have the first set of results for the Aston Maina mayor race, 1 out of 2 precincts. Frankie Salas, the Democrat, receives 181 votes ahead of Vicente San Nicolas with
Congressional and senatorial's done on our
136
website.
votes. And the Tamaning race has already been called. Jotnium race as well. For Orla Chalampago, again, 2 out of 3 precincts. Jesse Gogui with 702 votes, ahead of Willie Brennan with 500 votes. For Mongmuto to Maiti, again, 2 out of 3 precincts, 520 for Rudy Paco, with 479 for Johnny Taituno. A lot of the other mayoral races are running uncontested. For Manila, we have 4 or 5 precincts. Alan Ungakta receives 1,352 ahead of Rocky Alcantara with 636 votes. For the Manila vice mayoral race, 4 out of 5 precincts, 1,009 votes goes to Thomas Duenas ahead of Francisco Delgado with 912 votes. For the Dedido mayoral race, 11 of 15 precincts. Melissa Savares receives 2,049 votes ahead of Stephen Guerrero with 1,192 votes. And we should note there's 1,142 votes for a write-in. Again, 11 out of 15 precincts. Melissa Savares has 2,049, Stephen Guerrero 1,192, and 1,142 write-in votes. For the Dedido vice mayoral race, we have Frank Beneventi with 2,130 ahead of Bob Kanata with 1,957. We have the first set of results for the Jigo race. Rudy Matinani, this is 3 out of 7 precincts, sorry about that. Rudy Matinani receives 875 votes ahead of Peter Pascual with 700 votes and 9 write-in votes. For the Jigo vice mayoral race, we have Anthony Sanchez with 801 votes ahead of Catherine Martir with 718. This is 3 out of 7 precincts. For the public auditor race, 40 out of 67 precincts, Doris Flores Brooks receives 11,868 votes ahead of Doreen Crisostomo with 7,531. For the judicial retention question, voting yes for Vern Perez, we have 15,423. With 2,703 no votes. And for the presidential race for Hillary Clinton, we have 13,418 ahead of Donald Trump with 4,625. And then for the CCU, we have Joseph Duenas with 10,584 votes ahead of Judy Gutherz with 10,324. And coming in at third is 6,398 votes for Eloy Hara. Again, 2 of the 3 candidates will win the CCU seats. Again, this is only 40 out of 67 precincts. I know we got some of the Jigo votes. We have more of the Dedido votes. But again, 40 out of 67, more than 50% so far. It's a little after 11. This is moving relatively fast. We see more ballot boxes being set up as there as well. Again, over 20,889 ballots cast so far. Again, these are the results we have, and we'll have more as they come along. Keep it locked to the stations of KUAM.
All right, we've heard a lot from some of the candidates tonight. Let's hear from the people and their platform.
Dan Lizama will be 58 years old this month. He's lived on Guam most of his life, and unfortunately, not much has changed when it comes to politicians and their priorities. Dan believes our new batch of leaders need to focus on our future.
They should take care of the young generation and make the island, more noticeable, better education. It's the same thing over and over, overpopulation. Yeah, we should, give the locals what they say, buy local and be local. Because it's our island, we live here. We gotta, be proud of it and look for the future, the youth. They're tomorrow's future, and they'll be here, and I want them to see the things that the old culture, the old ways, bring back that one too. Politics, everything is, we're cutting down from 21 to 15 now, and everybody's into it. I'm not sure whether it's for the better of the island, which the politics, more education, knowing more things, be what they call that, accountable.
His words of advice to Guam leaders.
Just be true to yourself and to the people of the island.
All right, let's get a recap of the results. Again, 40 out of 67 precincts that have been tabulated, beginning with the congressional race. Madeline Bordallo, 10,602 votes over former Governor Felix Camacho, 9,188 votes. Moving on now to the legislative race. Let's take a look at the top 18. At number 1, Frank Uggan Jr. with 12,330 votes. Therese Terlahi, 11,598 votes. And Michael St. Nicholas at number 3, 11,477 votes. Another incumbent, Dennis Rodriguez Jr., 10,340 votes. At number 5, Talina Nelson, 9,975 votes. And number 6, Will Castro, 9,260 votes. Number 7, Regine Lee, 8,869 votes. At number 8, Jim S. Baldon with 8,828 votes. Mary Torres, number 9, 8,718 votes. At number 10, BJ Cruz, 8,534 votes. Number 11, Luis Muñe, 8,189 votes. Number 12, Tom Atta, 7,791 votes. At number 13, Tommy Morrison, 7,586. 14, Josen Augustine, 7,332 votes. Number 15, Tina Muñoz Barnes, 7,331 votes. Number 16, Tony Atta, 7,286 votes. Number 17, Fernando Esteves, 7,258 votes. And number 18, Frank Bloss Jr., 7,202 votes. Again, if you're just joining us, you can see all of the results right now on KUAM.com. Moving on now to the remaining results. At number 19, Narissa Underwood, 7,086 votes. Number 20, Rory Respicio, 6,873. Judy Wanpat at 21. Chris Duenas, 22. Eric Palacios, 23. Amanda Bloss, 24. And 25, Fred Bordallo. Jermaine Alerta at number 26. Ben Servino, 27. 28, AJ Palahaja, 29. Jose San Augustine. And at number 30, Brant McCready. Again, those are your results for the partisan races. Let's head on over to our panelists to get their reaction.
Well, gents, looks like we're almost halfway there. Most of the precincts, the bigger precincts, over half of their tallied votes are in already. Looks, again, based on the last results, it's a 10-5 split Democrat.
But it seems with Barragata in, Sinahanya almost completely in. And then, of course, picking up a couple of districts in Jigo, which were probably near the halfway point on Jigo, which I think with the mayor's race there, that still has a little bit of juice left. But one thing I note, PD, Umatic, Agate, Mauricio are not in right now.
Agate's not in there.
And also Talafoco, Santa Rita. Again, the South still has not spoken. The North is starting to get their voice heard a little bit. But again, with 42 of 67, there's still quite a bit of ways to go in the South.
And looks like, again, things are kind of sitting down a little bit here. Ron.
No, it's still very dynamic. If you look at the ups and downs between the last set of results they gave us and this set of results, if you look at these results closely, there's a lot of shuffling, and there's been a lot of elbowing up and down for candidates, particularly a number of candidates. And so, for example, Tina Rose Muñoz Barnes is 15. She moved her way up. Joe St. Augustine moved his way up. I think we're going to be seeing, at least in the other half of the results, we're going to see some more shuffling going up and down, and there could be some very dynamic shufflings when places like Dedido come out and everything else, and several candidates might rise very, very, very quickly. Because if you look at it, just the last between places 10 and 18, it's a fairly narrow, still a narrow window.
Well, between 14 and 15, only one vote separates the two. Yeah.
But the larger gap is between, how Ron was pointing out, between 10 or 11 down to 18. There's only 900, a little less than 1,000 votes between Luis Muñoz and Frank Bloss Jr. And of course, the one vote that separates Joe San Augustine and Tina Muñoz Barnes.
So right now, and actually, another interesting twist is in Dedido. So I mean, now you got write-ins. The write-ins are now starting to come up even closer to where those that are on the ballot are at, which has been pretty amazing to see as well tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be one of the most more exciting mayoral races to watch. Probably the mayoral race to watch in this election, just with the three of them running, the Democrat, Republican.
Right, and we look at Jigo, which has half of its way to go. Barragata pretty much looks like the incumbent mayor June Boss is still there. She's not going to go anywhere, and congratulations, probably in advance to her. But then again, we still have the South, which is kind of making it interesting. There's a couple of races down there that are still out in the open.
Your
home village.
Yeah, my home village, Roy Gamboa. The Democrat running against the incumbent vice mayor, Kevin Suzuki.
Right.
So well, that'll be a good race.
Now, Ron, let me ask you this, because you now are seated as the appointee, the governor's appointee to the Education Policy Board. Now, when you look at, of course, Speaker Wampat and Senator Underwood, based on their placings right now, okay, that could change again when the next results come in here. You think that has an impact in their place? Because you have come out as well and said, not necessarily about these two, but in regards to the decisions that they've made. It's, as the governor has said, shoot, ready, aim, pretty much. You think that because that thing continues to linger.
Sure.
And that was like the latest. Those are the latest things that were happening, and they made the news almost every day.
Sure. I think that education is something that's on a lot of people's minds, but I do think that, and I don't want to sound apologist or like I'm trying to explain anything. I think it was unfair for that particular issue to come up in that particular way right before the election. That's just, that's what I had a problem with, is that, why in the world a month before the election does all this drama have to happen? It was just unfair.
Well, I'm going to stop you there, Ron, because I want him to save himself for his confirmation.
And those are by the way, I have the world of respect for both of them also. I genuinely mean that. And in fact, I probably am more sympathetic to senators than a lot of other people, because I understand how tough it is. And Senator, you know how it is. People put you under pressure and you can never make anybody happy. And that's certainly part of the process. But there's one other quick thing I want to mention real quick. Between the last time and this time, Frank Uggan, Therese, and a number of other candidates got 4,000 votes, and then some of the lower echelon candidates only got 2,000 votes. So these voter outputs are very dynamic. They're all over the place, and so we can never tell what's going to happen next.
So do you think, and based on this, and it looks like Frank is going to, Senator Uggan's going to sail his way in, of course, probably be state number one. Do you think now he'll finally be the speaker?
I have no idea. That would be they'll have to have their own caucus and their own election to figure that amongst themselves. The other thing I want to point out, you pointed out education. I think just from my perspective, the issue of education and really the effort to try and hold the legislature responsible for having a public hearing or an oversight hearing is, for me, is entirely misplaced. I mean, there's clearly a process that's already laid out as part of John Fernandez's contract, and that public hearing should be conducted by the Guam Education from the Board of Education. During my time as a public servant in government, we're all very aware that accrediting agencies and federal agencies that fund our Department of Education are very mindful to try to keep political interference out of the educational system. I think it was good for Senator Underwood, Mayor Underwood, to not have a public hearing, and for Speaker Wampat to not agree to have a public hearing as well from the Guam legislature.
But also with that, I mean, from experience too, the entire board, I mean, US DOE is probably has been watching this kind of tee up until, and probably until this thing is going to be certified, because then, they're going to know that there's other people going to be involved in the process, including our friend down the way here. But it's going to be interesting to see how all that will play out probably in January, February, when everything gets settled.
And Tony, I agreed with you until the report came out that there was a finding already. There was a conclusion to a finding, supposedly by, again, by Robert Koss, who supposedly had already investigated, and these allegations were investigated, submitted, and prior to John Fernandez's contract being renewed, the education board had this. They knew this. So these allegations that came up, this was the second round, and I said this in my radio show. It sounded like the education board was opinion shopping at this point. Again, I agree with you until I found out, and then we read, and I think it was the Post that said there was a finding already, and that's when I said, well, wait a minute, this is when the legislature should come in now and say, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And now they set a public hearing for later on November. David Lujan, I'm sure he's going to say, well, wait a minute, you've already convicted, this jury is tainted already. How can you now come back here and say, undo what you have done? If you undo what you have done already and make his contract a status quo, then that's fine. But to now come back, education board, they're going to sit, they're the same ones that ran. They're going to be sitting, I think, with maybe three new people, Ron being one of them, and I think it's Mr. Mendiola, Mark Mendiola, who's another one. But in general, they're tainted already. They've already made the decision and saw the facts. They saw the same findings that the first findings, they didn't have anything. The same allegation was brought for the second time. They had a different finding. They said, oh, we like this finding now as opposed to the first one. And that's why I said, now that's when the legislature should have intervened and said, what the heck are you doing? So I agree with you until, again, I found out, we read that Mr. Koss had already investigated this, and they were found these allegations were false allegations and all that. So again, until that report came out, that there was an investigation and a finding.
I have a question. Just regarding there's 6 seats that are up for the election on the Guam Education Board, correct? And there's 6 candidates. So does that mean that all 6 will be on the board?
Yep.
Okay.
It's like an election in the Soviet Union. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, let's go ahead.
There's not even a write-in space.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the results for the Guam Education Board. Peter Alexis Atta so far has 10,561 votes. James Lujan, 8,085 votes. Maria Gutierrez, 7,732 votes. Lourdes San Nicolas, 7,457 votes. Lourdes Benavente, 7,298 votes. And Ken Chargaloff with 6,507 votes. And again, as you just heard from our analysts, all 6 will be members of the Guam Education Board. Let's now check in at the party headquarters, beginning with Crystal Paco.
Hoffaday, I'm Crystal Paco, still here in Mighty, repping the Republicans, and I'm here with Peter Alexis Atta. He is one of the 6 candidates for the Guam Education Board. If you're not familiar, though, with the Guam Education Board, what are the roles of the board?
Well, the rules of the board is that they do the policies that govern the Department of Education. We do not interfere in operation. That is spelled out clearly in the law.
I understand that there's only 6 people running for the Guam Education Board, and so it's a shoo-in, but you're currently, the top voter. Do you think that's maybe affected by the ongoing issues with the Guam Education, or not the Guam Education Board, the Department of Education, maybe issues involving Title IX and said Superintendent John Fernandez?
The people have spoken, as they always say, read between the lines. The message is there, but we will welcome all 6 new members to the board, and then from there we will elect on the first Monday in January the officers who will take, because we elect our officers every year, and then we've got work to do. Our job is, or our work is pretty much cut out for us. Lots of work.
So would the new board be responsible for handling the ongoing removal or the vote that was recently made to remove John Fernandez? Would they be taking over the job?
The position of this board is it's supposed to get all its facts and information presented in a public hearing. But what is very interesting here is that right now there are 4 who are standing very firm, and 3 are also standing very firm in their position. To even make a move of anything, you need 5. So we're going to be short no matter what we do until the nominees from the governor comes in, and then the whole dynamics changes again, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ada. Back to you in studio.
All right, thanks a lot, Crystal. Let's head on over now to the Democratic Party of Guam headquarters and check in with Isa Baza. Isa.
Today, I'm Isa Baza, and I'm here at the Democratic headquarters at Shirley's in Kamuning, and I'm here with Talina Nelson's campaign manager, Ryan Nicholas. So, this is the first campaign for Talina Nelson. How does it feel coming to a close?
Well, it's been a long struggle. It was a good thing, a good experience for both of us and for the team as well. Before I go, I would just like to say thank you to Team Talina for all the support, all the love, and all the hard work today. And the past few weeks, we got here this far because of our belief in Talina and what you can do in the legislature.
Okay, so how does it feel? The poll results for the UOG exit poll just came out around 8 o'clock tonight, and Talina did very well. How does that feel?
I believe she comes in at number 11, and if anything, it's a good snapshot as to where her placement is at. As like elections go, and I've been a part of the whole KUAM team before, and if anything, it's right now it's kind of like the scariest because she could go up or she can go down, and I'm just hoping that she goes up. And from the looks of things today, we've been having a lot of positive feedback from the polls. Everywhere she went, people actually just lined up to actually talk to her. She was out shaking hands, doing her thing. So, we feel positive that, she'll probably move up a little bit more in the polls.
Okay, so what was the response or the tone of this election?
Wow. For the tone, notwithstanding all the negative ads that have been coming out, and all the whisper campaigns, we try to maintain above, taking the higher road on it and just maintain a positive campaign and come out strong pretty much. It's been good as far as Team Talina is concerned, because even though we saw the negative ads, she just led and she was like, we're going to stay above it and we're not going to participate in it and just, stick to the issues. And that was the core of the campaign. That was the message of the campaign, was just to stick to the issues on it.
All right, well, thank you, and good luck tonight.
Yes.
Well, stay tuned. We'll have all the updates here on KUAM, reporting for Guam News Network, and Isa Baza.
Thanks a lot, Isa and Ryan, who's working with Talina Nelson's camp. Now, earlier you got to hear from our analysts here in studio, but we also have some other people that have a lot to say about Decision 2016. As you know, along the campaign trail, there were several forums and debates that were held so that as many people as possible could hear from the candidates themselves. And one of the groups to host an event at the University of Guam was the Women and Gender Studies program. Our Nestor Lecanto spoke with coordinator Dr. Isa Bowman, who explained some of the specific topics they wanted to hear from the candidates.
So, for example, the Nanas and Patkan Act, which is an act allowing women and ensuring that women have the right to breastfeed in any place on Guam, public or private. And now that includes, the university campus and the classroom. And so we want to hear from the candidates their support for that law, because that's something that's very important to us. Also, the funding of a daycare on UOG or on GCC's campus would be something that I think many of us feel would be very useful. the new UOG sexual misconduct policy prohibiting inappropriate amorous relations between professors and undergrads is something that's very important to many of us. And, it's been heartening to hear the support for that from many political figures. So those are just some of the issues.
Okay. And give us your overall assessment of how the forum went.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was so good to hear from people like BJ Cruz, Tina Munya Barnes, Narissa Britannia Underwood, right? And just to have the opportunity for our students to speak to them as well. And for me, one of the most moving moments was when my students were explaining, sort of very much from the heart, the importance of a daycare to them, right? Or I think it's also very important just for all of us to be able to hear them expressing, right, their points and their positions on these particular issues as voters.
Okay, Dr. Isa Bowman from the University of Guam, and now we're going to take an opportunity to speak to some of the students and see what they thought of the forum. And we're here now with the 3 UOG students, Nori O'Connor, Gia Rigetti, and Julie Hernandez. And they were, I guess, the organizers of the forum that Dr. Bowman talked about. So let me ask you first, starting with you, Nori. What did you hope to get out of this forum with the candidates?
Well, what I hope to get out of it was just to understand better like their morals, especially if it dealt with like the breastfeeding about the Nana Jampakun Act and about like sex education in public schools and the sexual misconduct policy. What I got out of the forum, I was actually very satisfied because there was like a lot of their answers I actually agreed about, especially dealing with, I think, for the sex education, because I do think it's important here to have it here in Guam, especially to the public schools, high schools, even middle schools.
Gio, what did you get out of this?
My club Rise, we large member of our community is represented. Most of our members are in the LGBT community. So this forum was important in that not only did we see questions representing our community, but we got answers that the candidates let us know their position on certain issues such as transgenders, should they use restrooms that correspond with their gender identity. So we got some pretty straightforward answers from some of the candidates, and not all of them are for it. So that was kind of eye-opening, and I think that will affect maybe how students view acceptance here in the community, and also how we might choose to vote. So.
And Julie is a friend of ours who interned at KYM over the summer. And Julie, tell us what you got out of this.
Well, actually, I got, like with Norland and Gia, like I got a lot out of it, like, and we got pretty straightforward answers on their stance on with LGBTQ rights and then the sexual harassment. And like with Norland, I witnessed Narissa Underwood's passion and the importance of, having students having a voice and having a say and knowing their rights as students, as well as professors knowing their positions as teachers, because they are basically, their main purpose as teachers is to protect us and to teach us and to violate and use that power that they have and prey on vulnerable students. You get to know where they stand. One thing that really touched me was BJ Cruz's stance with the Nana Zampakun Act, where when women can bring their children in and breastfeed in any place, or even just bring their students in, their own children into the classrooms, because of the fact that as a young college parent myself of a toddler, it's very hard to have a sitter at all times. And that's why it was touching for me to hear from him as well about that, the importance of this act, as well as the importance of having a daycare here at the center.
And these are topics that are not typically heard during a political forum.
Yes.
Why do you think it was important that you guys were able to bring these up to these candidates? Let me start with you.
Well, as we touched earlier, it deals a lot with gender rights, particularly women's rights, because whether in any religion and any ethnicity you go all over the world, women are usually the ones to get the shorter end of the stick, if you will. And it's important that people need to recognize that women are just. It's important that we fight for equality, and that we can do just as great as our male peers, and we deserve the same rights, and as well as our male peers who also deserve paternity leave, because they need to get to know their children. And it's not just a mother's job to parent a child. It's the parent's job equally, father, mother, whoever takes care of the child, or even Also, if you are not in a traditional, conventional relationship, both parents in general are, important to a child's development.
It's been over a year since same-sex marriage was legalized, and I think it's time that community members or people within the LGBT community have seen that what their candidates voted for in legalizing it. I think it's time that they see that the candidates are working for them and are continuing to support the community. So I think this was really important and an opportunity to further see where our candidates stand on certain issues that affect the LGBT community. And I hope to see more of that in the future.
Do you think by raising these issues in this forum that it helped draw attention to it? And do you think the candidates will take it more seriously if they haven't in the past?
Can I curse?
Sure.
Hell yes. I think it's very important because I think these forms are important because, as college students, by the minute we turn 18, we are given, at least these set of rights, especially the right to vote. And the thing is that, it's our responsibility as citizens to know that whatever these candidates put into law, it will affect us as well. Mm-hmm. So by having these forms, students will know what they're getting themselves into. Who are they looking for? When they see these candidates on their billboards, every time they drive, at least that when they come to these forums, they know where they stand and who would they want to vote for. Do they agree with the policy that they're going to bring?
Was there anything that the candidates said or didn't say maybe that kind of disappointed you?
Yes. Or do you want to? I can know.
The issue of transgender students using the restroom is a hot topic, and it's something that I don't think the candidates are fully knowledgeable of, and for that, and they chose to comment, but I don't think that they commented having known exactly what gender identity is and how that differentiates from someone's assigned sex. And so that was something that I think students were hoping that maybe they were more knowledgeable of and had expected different answers, because some of them were very harsh and critical and stating that no, they would not want their sons or daughters in a restroom with a transgendered person. So that was shocking. Do you think it was a valuable exercise, and are you happy with the outcome? Let me start with you.
The whole form?
Yes, the whole form.
Yes, I do think it was a valuable lesson. Because actually, what they were just talking about earlier, it got me to know and understand the candidates better, and who I should vote for, especially if we have the same values and moral beliefs. Because we always see these the billboards everywhere, but do I really know the candidate that well? Besides from my parents telling me who to vote, do I really know them that well? By doing these kinds of forums and asking these kinds of questions, it gives me a better understanding of who they are, what kind of morals they have. It helps me to better vote for the people that I think should be running, that I think that should be in it.
And there you have it. We'd like to thank our guest this evening, Julie Hernandez, Gio Rigetti, and Nori O'Connor. They are the organizers of the UOG Student Forum on the Women and Gender Studies program. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks a lot, Nestor. We hear that there are more results, 53, I believe, out of 67 precincts. We'll check in with Ken Quintanilla. Ken, what are the latest results?
Half a day, we're here at Election Central with the latest set of results, 53 out of 67 precincts. That's about 79% of 28,305 votes so far. For the congressional race, we have Congresswoman Malin Bordallo with 14,432 votes, ahead of Felix Camacho with 12,376 and 170 write-in votes. For the Guam legislature, again, 53 out of 67 precincts, we have Frank Uggan Jr. with 16,731, Therese Terlahi with 15,591, Michael St. Nicholas with 15,542, Dennis Rodriguez Jr. with 13,840, Talina Cruz Nelson with 13,476, Will Castro with 12,460. We have Jim Espaldon with 11,682, Mary Camacho Torres with 11,658, Regine Bisco Lee with 11,655, Vice Chair BJ Cruz with 11,423, Tommy Morrison with 10,910, Luis Muña with 10,905, Fernando Estevez with 10,314. Tom Ada, 10,292. Tina Rose Munoz Barnes with 1,044 votes. Joe St. Augustine with 9,867. Frank Blosh Jr. with 9,617. Narissa Underwood with 9,596. Tony Ada with 9,594. Judy Wampat with 9,443 votes. Incumbent Roy Respicio with 9,392. Chris Duenas with 8,687. Jermaine Alerta with 8,320 votes. Eric Palacios with 7,660 votes. Amanda Blas with 7,655 votes. Fred Bordalio with 7,537. Benny Servino with 7,303 votes. AJ Balahaja with 6,898 votes. Grant McCready with 5,599. And Jose San Augustine rounding it up with 5,596 votes. Again, this is 53 out of 67 precincts. We move on to some of the mayoral races for Asamaina. Again, 1 out of 2 precincts. Frankie Salas has 181. Vicente San Nicolas with 136 votes. No results for PD yet, but for the agate race, 2 of 3 precincts have been reported. Kevin Siswico with 767, ahead of Roy Gamboa with 344 and 4 write-in votes. For the agate vice mayoral race, 2 of 3 precincts. Christopher Farron with 775 votes, ahead of Vicente Castro with 308 votes. For the Santa Rita mayoral race, Del Alvarez, 1 of 2 precincts with 543 votes. For the Umatic race, 1 of 1 precincts, I guess. That's all of them. Johnny Kanata with 382 votes, ahead of John Sanchez with 231 votes. And then for the Maritzo race, 2 of 2 precincts, Ernest Chargaloff with 586 votes, ahead of Rosie Tanatongo with 481 votes. For the Inarajan mayoral race, 3 of 3 precincts, Doris Flores Lujan with 782, ahead of David Chargaloff with 612. For the Talafofa mayoral race, again, 2 of 2 precincts all reporting, Vicente Taitagui with 981 votes. For the Jotnia mayoral race, 2 of 3 precincts, Jesse Bloss receives 1,093 votes and 144 write-in votes. For the Ordet Chalampago race, 3 of 3 precincts, all of them, Jesse Gogui comes out on top with 1,079 votes, ahead of Willie Brennan with 773 votes and 4 write-in votes. Again, 3 of 3 precincts, all reporting for Ordet Chalampago, with incumbent Jesse Gogui with 1,079 votes, ahead of Willie Brennan with 773 votes. For Momototo Maiti, again, still 2 of 3 precincts. Rudy Paco with 520, ahead of Johnny Titano with 479. For the Manila race, 5 of 5 precincts, all reporting. Alan Ngakta receives 1,761 votes, ahead of Rocky Alcantara with 777 votes. For the vice mayoral race, we have Tom Duenas with 1,304 votes, ahead of Francisco Delgado with 1,153 votes. In the Dedido mayoral race, we have 12 of 15 precincts. Melissa Savares receives 2,269 votes, ahead of Stephen Guerrero with 1,305 votes. And we should note we have 1,239 write-in votes as well. For the Dedido mayoral race, again, 12 of 15 precincts. Frank Beneventi with 2,376 votes, ahead of Bob Kanata with 2,123 votes. For the Jigo mayoral race, 5 of 7 precincts reporting. Rudy Matanani with 1,395 votes, ahead of Peter Pasquale with 1,132 votes. For the Jigo vice mayoral race, we have Anthony Sanchez with 1,270 votes, ahead of Catherine Martyr with 1,176 votes. Sorry, Anthony Sanchez with 1,270 votes, ahead of Catherine Martyr with 1,176 votes. The other races we have for the public auditor race, again, we have 53 out of 67 precincts. Dorosaurus Brooks has 15,972, ahead of Doreen Crisostomo with 10,225. And then for the presidential election, we have Hillary Clinton with 18,146 votes ahead of Donald Trump with 6,191. And then for the CCU, Joseph Duenas and Judy Guthertz have come out on top with the top 2 votes ahead of Eloy Hara. Again, this is 53 out of 67 precincts. We'll have more of the results as they come in. Keep it locked to the stations of KUAM for more on Decision 2016.
Thanks a lot, Ken Quintanilla, with the latest results from the University of Guam. That is 53 out of 67 precincts that have been tabulated. Let's take a look at the results. Beginning with the congressional race, once again, Congresswoman Madeline Bordallo, 14,432 votes. Felix Camacho, 12,376 votes. Once again, if you're just joining us, that's 53 out of 67 precincts. Moving on now to the senatorial race. Number 1, Frank Uggan Jr., he hasn't moved. He's been at the number 1 spot since we began the receiving results, 16,731 votes. Also, Teresa Law, he has remained in the number 2 spot with 15,591 votes. Michael St. Nicholas also remaining in the 3rd spot with 15,542 votes. Dennis Rodriguez Jr., number 4, 13,840 votes. Number 5, Talina Nelson, 13,476 votes. And Will Castro, number 6, 12,460 votes. Moving on to number 7, Jim S. Bolton with 11,682 votes. Number 8, Mary Torres, 11,658 votes. At number 9, Regine Lee, 11,655 votes. Number 10, Vice Speaker B.J. Cruz, 11,423 votes. At number 11, Tommy Morrison, 10,910 votes. At number 12, Luis Muñoz, 10,905 votes. At number 13, Fernando Esteves, 10,314 votes. Number 14, Tom Atta, 10,292 votes. At number 15, Tina Muñoz Barnes with 10,044 votes. At number 16, Joe San Augustine, 17, Frank Bloss Jr. At number 18, Narissa Underwood. Again, 53 out of 67 votes. We're looking at a 9-6 split at this point. Moving on to the next set of results, starting with number 19. That would be Tony Atta with 9,594 votes. Number 20, Speaker Judy Wanpat, 9,443. Number 21, Maurice Bisho. 22, former Senator Chris Duenas. At number 23, Jermaine Alerta. Number 24, Eric Palacios. 25, Amanda Bloss. Number 26, Fred Bordallo. 27, Ben Servino. 28, AJ Balahaja. 29, Brent McCready. And at number 30, Jose San Augustine. Now let's take a look now at the question of judicial retention and whether to retain Superior Court Judge Vern Barres on the bench. 15,423 voted yes and 2,703 voted no. Taking a look now at the straw poll for the presidential election. Let's see how you would vote if you could vote for president. Hillary Clinton, 13,418 over Donald Trump, 4,625. Over now to the nonpartisan races and the Guam Education Policy Board. There are 6 candidates. All 6 will be on the board. And here's a look at the numbers. Peter Alexis Atta with 14,000. James Lujan, 10,810. Maria Gutierrez, 10,395. Lourdes St. Nicholas, 10,144. Lourdes Benavente, 9,804. And Ken Chargaloff, 9,001 votes. Moving now to the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. Here are the results in that race. Joseph Duenas, 14,046. Dr. Judy Guthertz at number 2, 13,915. And Eloy Hara at number 3, 8,500. Let's go now to our analysts to get their take on this latest round of results. We're moving rather quickly, guys.
Yes, it is. A 9-6 split again. Still the incumbents. Both the Republicans and Democrats are splitting 3-3 in regards to being out for the 34th Guam legislature.
Yeah. You know, I know we're talking about trying to explain it up here, and we brought up the Citizens for Public Accountability, the campaign about redressing the pay raises, and it would seem that many of them have fallen victim, perhaps, to that effort, with only Senators Rodriguez and Senator Morrison, and right now Senator Tina Munoz
Well,
Barnes.
Jim Espadon was listed on the 8 as well. That's at placing at number 7 at this point. Yeah.
All right. So those were able to survive, but casualties right now with the precincts that have been reported in are Frank Bloss and Minority Leader Tony Addis, Speaker Wonpat, and Senator Respicio and Senator McCready.
And Senator Underwood. Yeah.
And but she's not named as part of the
No. But in regards to splitting, in regards to again the incumbents being out, so again, as the public is saying, they wanted some new blood and 6 new ones.
But what I'm concerned about is that when we talk about the electorate wanted new blood. When you had a 49% voter turnout in the primary, and right now we're looking at a 54%. We may or may not see 60% in this election. We have to begin to become a little bit more concerned about the level of apathy that this community is seeing towards not only this process, but it makes me a little bit more concerned for 2 years from now. Because if we're seeing this kind of behavior from the electorate, what do we think we'll get? Are we going to see the 71 plus? Could we see less than that to kind of put us near the national average for election turnouts? And this community has prided itself upon how over time, since we started voting for our representative government, we've enjoyed 80s and 70% turnouts. But today we are seeing a definite turn downward in trend. I'm not saying that maybe we have to relook at getting people out. What is this all millennials? Who knows at the end of the day?
Do you think because we're very entrenched as well in national politics. We ourselves are entrenched in that. I know after I voted today, I went home and took a shower, just because I voted Republican, right? Okay. I mean, nationally, nationally, right? But that being said, you think again our electorate having the same kind of feelings? Of course, the millennials are what's happening in the United States or the 50 states is here as well.
I mean, do they care? is the question. And both Ron and I teach at University of Guam. I mean, getting people to do certain things and voting is one of the behaviors that we would hope that most young people would take as a big responsibility. But I want to just throw this real quick in while we're thinking about not only that number. Asin, Agate, Santa Rita, Mongmong, Tamuning, 3 districts in Dedido and 1 more in Jigo are pending. So right now we're into the final stretch of this election. Hence my question, will we see a voter turnout hit 60 or not? It's a strong chance, Ron. I don't know. A little question about whether or not we'll get there.
Yeah, and it's also an off year. Usually, in governor's races, there's always more, certainly. But there's another point that kind of, I've always been a critic of the 15-member legislature, but also we have a single district. That is, we have 15 people we elect as a kind of group. And I know at one time Guam experimented in doing districting. We had districting for a little while. I think that at least if we had partial districting, like 10 districts and then 5 at large, our system might be a little bit better. Because right now, there's no head-to-head races, and so there's no real competition. And then you end up seeing things like this where suddenly things play out in a kind of cascade fashion. The results tonight look nothing like really the line of the polls that preceded this. This is a pretty quick acting result here. This, I mean, in my take on it. This happened not lately. This did happen pretty quickly.
And I don't think it's necessarily a trend. I think from my own experience being a candidate in the primary election, and then talking to my fellow candidates who were running, there was a lot of trying to understand how to utilize social media, how to motivate and get the vote out with millennials. I think the experience of candidates in 2016 and those campaigns, once everything's directed into the 2018 gubernatorial election, I mean, the gubernatorial elections in and of themselves are more exciting, create more energy. They get people out. There's a lot more organization of the villages and and getting folks out in the electorate. And certainly there's going to be a real effort to try to energize those millennials, try to find the issues that they are that motivate them to go to the polls. So I don't know if I don't know that I'd necessarily say, you know, if we have a low voter turnout in this election season, that it's necessarily a trend. I think in the 2012 election, Congresswoman Verdayo, I think, got nearly 20,000 votes, and and her competitor in the non-gubernatorial year was Frank Blas with about 14,000 votes. Former Governor Camacho right now is polling at 12,000 votes. Ms. Verdayo is at 14.5 essentially. I have no doubt that she'll start adding even more votes as more of the South comes in. She's been a very popular and candidate in the elections that she has won. She's virtually undefeated in her career. I know that for a fact as well. And I think her lead will continue to grow, and she'll reach near 20,000 as well.
Only about 700 votes separate the 13th space from the 17th space. And toward the end of the night, that could change also. There could be some more shifting up and down still until we're done. I don't think the night's over quite yet.
You know, we're really impressive here. Fernando Estevez, great ads. Former Governor Joe Ada did ads for him, strong ad. Also, former Lieutenant Governor Mike Cruz did an ad for him as well, very strong. And you know, he's kind of been going in and out of the top 15 here, but now it's looking like he's probably settling in at this point. The South is coming in. I know his roots are from the South. Looks like again, because those votes are coming in now, and those maybe the bigger precincts, the bigger villages have pretty much settled in already. So now I think that's why his vote, you're seeing him being Aborcinus. You know, that's coming in. The South is coming in. So I think that's going to be settling in here. As Ron was saying, of course, the difference between the 15 and 16 spot right now, 177 votes between Senator Barnes and Joe St. Augustine. Joe's another one that's going in and out of the
you know, I had a question based on the current number now. What kind of policies do you guys expect that these 15, if these things, if it doesn't move, you know, a little bit differently with the crop of new people and the incumbents, what do we expect the kind of thing?
I don't think they'll be giving themselves pay raises anytime soon.
That's true. Okay. I'll take it on the other half of this. But.
Well, they probably have a better chance of repealing it now.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. You know who also got pay raises is the mayoral mayors and vice mayors. Let's take a look at the results in the mayoral elections, starting with Paul McDonald. Of course, he ran unopposed, 910 votes. As for the village of Agate, Kevin Siswico, 767 votes over Roy Gamboa, 344 votes. And in the Agate vice mayoral race, Christopher Farron, 775 over Vicente Castro, 308 votes. Moving on to the Asan Maina, Frankie Salas with 181 votes to Vicente San Nicolas, who's also a former mayor, with 136 votes. In Barragata, June Bloss and Jesse Bautista, they ran unopposed, so they will retain their positions in Barragata. Moving on to the village of Dededo, Melissa Savares with 2,269 votes to Stephen Guerrero, 1,305 votes. And I believe we heard earlier that there were over 1,000 write-in votes for the Dededo mayoral race. In the vice mayoral election, Frank Beneventi, 2,376 votes to Bob Canetas, 2,123 votes. In Hagana, John Cruz, he ran unopposed, 232 votes. Moving on to in Araha, Doris Lujan, 782 votes to David Chargaloff, 612 votes. In Manilao, Alan Ngata, who's the current vice mayor, with 1,761 votes over Roque Alcantara, 777 votes. In the vice mayoral election, Thomas Duenas with 1,304 votes to Francisco Delgado, 1,153. In the southern village of Mariso, incumbent Ernest Chargaloff with 586 votes over Rosie Tanantongo with 481 votes. And that is a brief recap of some of the races in the mayoral elections. Again, that is 53 out of 67 precincts that have been tabulated. And let's go now. We actually have some more results to get to. With Mongwon Rudy Paco, 520 votes over Johnny Taitano with 479 votes. In Orat Chalan Pago, Jesse Gogui, the incumbent, with 1,079 votes over Willie Brennan, 773. In the village of PD, no results yet. And in Santa Rita, Dale Alvarez, and of course he is running unopposed, but he received 543 votes. In Sinahanya, also running unopposed is Robert Hoffman and Rudy Iriarte. In the village of Telefofo, also another winner tonight, Vicente Taitagui. He is the incumbent, and he also ran unopposed. Also running unopposed, Luis Rivera in the village of Tamuning with 1,328 votes, and her vice mayor, also Kenneth Santos, also ran unopposed. In Umatic, it's Johnny Kanata, the incumbent, with 382 votes to John Sanchez's 231 votes. In the village of Jigo, Rudy Matsanani with 1,395 votes to Peter Pascual's 1,132 votes. In the vice mayoral race, Tony Sanchez with 1,270 to Catherine Martir, 1,176 votes. And finally, in Jordan, running unopposed is Jesse Bloss with 1,093 votes. Again, you can see all of the results right now on KUAM.com. We're going to take a break, but we'll be back with more on Decision 2016 after this break.
Tonight's Decision 2016 broadcast is brought to you with promotional consideration from
It's a day to come together and give back.
In any way you can.
From large gestures to small ones.
We can all make a difference.
The KUAM Care Force is once again joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Giving Tuesday is a day when charities, businesses, students, and families all around the world unite for one cause.
To celebrate and encourage giving.
So help us kick off the season of giving by joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Make a donation.
Coordinate a drive for those in need.
Volunteer your time and talents.
Participate in an act of kindness.
The possibilities are endless. Send us a message and let us know what you're planning.
And be sure to use hashtag Giving Tuesday on all your social media posts.
For more information, you can visit our website or givingtuesday.org.
We can all
make a difference
on Giving
Tuesday.
The Good Life, all month long on the stations and networks of KUAM. Check the KUAM News app or KUAM.com for all program listings.
This December,
Hairspray Live.
The biggest stars come together for the musical event of the season. Hairspray Live, this December on NBC.
Pacific Extreme Combat is back on Friday, November 18th. Former champion Kyle Logan faces off against Trevin Jones to settle their rivalry and determine the interim bantamweight world champion. Plus, the flyweight title is on the line as breakout Hawaiian star Riley Dudro takes on the veteran bone crusher Darren Uyenoyama. Come witness history at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse. 2 main events, 2 new champions, 1 epic night of fight. PXC 55, presented by Miller Lite, IT&E, and the stations of KUAM. Also brought to you by these fine sponsors. Be a part of the action at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. and fight action starts at 7:30. Tickets are on sale now at all 76 Circle K locations, Anderson ITT, MWR, and online at tpiguam.com. With VIP tickets also available online at tpiguam.com and at Cars Plus in Mighty. TXE 55 is a tropical production.
Watch Health Check every Tuesday for community health information, advisories, and news you and your family can use for leading a healthier lifestyle. Health Check during KUAM News Extras, Health, Home, and Lifestyle. Health Check is presented by Island Cancer Center.
Well, here we are. Good morning to you. And NBC begins a new program called Today. This is a program from America to America. We hope we can give you enough to stay with you for a long time.
It's a day to come together and give back.
In any way you can.
From large gestures to small ones.
We can all make a difference.
The KUAM Care Force is once again joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Giving Tuesday is a day when charities, businesses, students, and families all around the world unite for one cause.
To celebrate and encourage giving.
So help us kick off the season of giving by joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Make a donation.
Coordinate a drive for those in need.
Volunteer your time and talents.
Participate in an act of kindness.
The possibilities are endless. Send us a message and let us know what you're planning.
And be sure to use hashtag Giving Tuesday on all your social media posts.
For more information, you can visit our website or givingtuesday.org.
We can all
Make a difference
on Giving
Tuesday.
The Good Life, all month long on the stations and networks of KUAM. Check the KUAM News app or KUAM.com for all program listings.
Pacific Extreme Combat is back on Friday, November 18th. Former champion Kyle Luggett faces off against Trevin Jones to settle their rivalry and determine the interim bantamweight world champion. Plus, the flyweight title is on the line as breakout Hawaiian star Riley Dudrow takes on the veteran bone crusher Darren Yenoyama. Come witness history at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse. 2 main events, 2 new champions, 1 epic night of fights. PXE 55, presented by Miller Lite, IT&E, and the stations of KUAM. Also brought to you by these fine sponsors. Be a part of the action at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. and fight action starts at 7:30. Tickets are on sale now at all 76 Circle K locations, Anderson ITT, MWR, and online at tpiguam.com. With VIP tickets also available online at tpiguam.com and at Cars Plus in Mighty. TXE 55 is a tropical production.
This December,
Hairspray Live. The biggest stars come together for the musical event of the season. Hairspray Live, this December on NBC.
Watch Health Check every Tuesday for community health information, advisories, and news you and your family can use for leading a healthier lifestyle. Health Check during KUAM News Extras, Health, Home, and Lifestyle. Health Check is presented by Island Cancer Center.
It's a day to come together and give back.
In any way you can.
From large gestures to small ones.
We can all make a difference.
The KUAM Care Force is once again joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Giving Tuesday is a day when charities, businesses, students, and families all around the world unite for one cause.
To celebrate and encourage giving.
So help us kick off the season of giving by joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Make a donation.
Coordinate a drive for those in need.
Volunteer your time and talents.
Participate in an act of kindness.
The possibilities are endless. Send us a message and let us know what you're planning.
And be sure to use hashtag Giving Tuesday on all your social media posts.
For more information, you can visit our website or givingtuesday.org.
We can all
make a difference
on Giving
Tuesday. Off day and welcome back to our coverage of Decision 2016. As it stands right now, 53 out of 67 precincts have been tabulated. The results are showing a 9-6 split right now in the Guam legislature. Let's head on over to the Democratic Party of Guam headquarters, where Isa Baza is standing by with Talina Nelson.
Confident Isa Baza. We're here at the Democratic headquarters at Shirley's Intuiting, and I'm with your Democratic candidate, Talina Nelson. And so, you're one of the newer candidates, but the results have just been rolling in, and so far you're doing very well. How do you feel so far?
I'm very excited to see that there are a lot of new candidates on our slate. I don't really want to celebrate right now. We want to wait for the final numbers to come in and really see the true results to the end.
And so, the results have been fluctuating up and down. But I think the latest count, you were at number 5, over 6,500 votes. And so I know you probably put a lot of pound on the pavement today, going around to different villages. What were you doing today?
Well, we went out to the various polls and we met with the people. And my grandfather, he said, the campaigning doesn't stop till 8 o'clock tonight. So essentially that's what we were doing. We were pulling cars over on the side of the road, asking them to vote before they head to the polls. So we were basically just walking the street and meeting the people and listening to some of their concerns.
Okay, now some people are saying that this year there could be a Democratic supermajority. Any thoughts on that?
I think that's a very good thing because the Democratic Party is the People's Party. And that's our first priority, is to really work for the people of Guam and to help them in their needs and in whatever situations that they're struggling through. And I think I know that if the Democrats get a majority, that will be our first and primary interest, is the people first.
All right, thanks so much,
Thank you
Talina.
so much,
Well, stay tuned to KOM for all the latest updates. Reporting for Guam News Network, I'm Isa Baza.
All right, thanks a lot, Isa, with Talina Nelson, who has made just an impressive showing tonight. She's at number 5 with 13,000, I believe, 476 votes. Let's head on over now and check in with Crystal Paco, who is at the Republican Party of Guam headquarters.
Confident, I'm Crystal Paco, repping the Republicans in my DN. I have senatorial hopeful Will Castro with me. How you feeling right now?
I'm really excited, Crystal. Thank you so much. I mean, there was a lot of excitement in the air, especially at the Ukudu camp. I've never experienced something that electrifying. I mean, thousands of people rolling in and waving and honking on both sides. You had Democrats and Republicans. And I'm just so humbled by the whole experience. Really, it was tremendous.
So, Will, we were talking a little bit before this about the exit poll. You were ranked number 15, and right now you're actually leading the Republican team through the senatorial race. How does that fare for you?
Honestly, I wasn't really concerned about myself, but I was concerned about some principal candidates that I know who really represent the best interests of the people of Guam. You have incumbents like Tony Atta, who've done so much. The gentleman, if you strip him down, he's just a good guy. I mean, he's a principled man, a man of his family, a man of the community, the common. And so when the exit poll showed him where he was at, I was personally devastated. But I'm very, very grateful to the people of Guam for voting your heart and your mind for those who are going to make a difference and put you first. And I'm glad you took care of the incumbents, and I'm glad you're giving a few of us new ones the opportunity to really demonstrate what we can do to help the people of Guam. And so, at the end of the day, the only poll that matters are the results that come in from the election. And right now, it's really positive that people have the opportunity to put in a fresh crop of senators to include awesome incumbents on both sides, both Democrats and Republicans, who we know are going to make a difference. Because at the end of the day, in the words of the late Senator Angel Santos, our loyalty to the party ends where our loyalty to the people begins. And I'm glad the people of Guam see that.
Well, this is not your first go at this, a run for senator. Do you think maybe your exposure and your work with the HMAC committee, the hospital committee, or fixing the hospital, or Guam Memorial Hospital, had anything to do with that?
Sure, I think there are a lot of components to a successful campaign. One is earned media. I think signage. You see a lot of candidates with hundreds of signs. Last time in 2014, we had 34 signs. This time we have maybe twice that. But I think it's just a matter of getting out and sweating and waving and canvassing and touching more lives and letting people know that you're really sincerely wanting to make a difference. And so earned media matters, paid media matters, but at the end of the day, getting people to see you for who you really are. Our only paid ad was actually a selfie. And so we use social media. We leverage social media to help us. Our only paid ad was a selfie in my backyard. And so at the end of the day, that's all we had. If you can touch people's lives and get them to know you, we're good.
Hear that? He's giving you the secrets to a winning campaign. Back to you in studio.
Thanks a lot, Crystal Paco, with Will Castro. Again, one of the races that we are paying close attention to is in the village of Jigo, where there is a close race for the Northern Village. Let's take a look at the candidates, Rudy Mazzanati and Peter Pasquale.
Hey, good evening, my fellow residents of Jigo. My name is Peter Pasquale, and I am a candidate for Jigo Mayor this coming election, 2016.
My name is Mayor Rudy Matanani, Mayor of the beautiful village of Jigo.
We have residents, in the back areas that still don't have basic utilities. I'm not saying that there's nothing in place regarding that, but sitting down, we can assess that and see what we can add on and see what the status is from that and maybe go from there.
My decision to run again is because the things that I started to do that's very, very important for the village of Jigo hasn't been completed. And I hope that after my re-election, I can complete what I think should have been done here in the village.
Like I say, it's community involvement, because with cooperation, with collaboration, and an effective effort, our community deserves the very best from us. And that's what I intend to do. I am a people person. Just by that 2008 incident where I did not turn my back, I still stayed as a council member. And yes, it's my desire, my willingness to actually help my fellow man, my fellow neighbor. So hopefully they can see the light and consider me for their next mayor. And I assure you, the only promise that I will make, that I have made to the folks, the residents, is that I will uphold the duties and responsibilities of the mayor, and which I will stand up.
My top 3 priorities is to get a pretty sizable property from the governor of Guam to build more sports facilities like a soccer field, softball field, a pavilion where we can have our flea market and our night market, a 1 mile walk run facility, and things that because I'm although I'm the mayor, I'm going to be asking the residents, what do they think we need here? In fact, that's what happened when I ran for mayor. Kids came up to me and asked me, Mayor, can you build us a skateboard ring? And with God's help, we have a skateboard ring. It's in Agafagumas, but that was the only inventory that the mayor's office had as far as property is concerned. So that's the initial reason why it's in Agafagumas.
I say we really don't want to talk negatively with whoever. That is one of my main pet peeves when we do have our meetings with our committee. I don't want to hear any of that negativity. We need to focus on our agenda, and that is to sit in the mayor's office. And with that, that would be the ultimate to where I can actually do more for the community.
And my third priority is, there's always room for improvement, most especially in Jigo. Jigo is the biggest village as far as landmass is concerned, and there's a lot of things here that has to do with servicing the residents of Jigo that we still need. And those are the 3 reasons. And I'll just put a 4th one there because I love my job and I love helping people.
Planning is most important. A lot of the residents will ask me, so what are you going to do for Jigo? And I says, well, let's change that question a little bit. What are we as residents of this community going to do? Because if you don't take part of the change will overcome us. And then we have no say-so. But if we step up to the plate and be a part of it, we can make the change. So if you don't take part of the change, you're going to have to accept what comes.
I worked for the Air Force for 33 years, and there was always a policy that why fix it if it ain't broken? And I've heard a lot of comments that the people think that I'm doing a good job, doing things that hasn't been done. And all the mayors in the past, I know what it's like to be a mayor. Okay, and we have different priorities. And yes, there were a lot of things that were done in the past, in the previous years, but there's still a lot of things that need to be done. So I'm here, and I think I'm going to be here for another 4 years.
And that was Rudy Mazzanani and Peter Pascual running for Jigo mayor. Let's recap the results for the congressional race real quickly. Madeline Berdallo, 14,432 votes, and Felix Camacho with 12,376 votes. We spoke with the Congresswoman earlier this week. Let's look at that interview and what she plans to do in her next term.
Congresswoman Madeline Berdallo has been a public servant for over 2 decades.
I love it. I love working for the people of Guam. And even before I got into politics, I was a senator and I was a lieutenant governor and a first lady.
She has served as Guam's delegate to Congress for the past 14 years. While she started at the bottom, she's now a senior member of 2 congressional committees.
Yeah. Defense Committee, and I'm now a ranking member of one of the most powerful subcommittees, and that's readiness.
If reelected, she said she wants to continue the progress that Guam has seen over the years.
I'm working on the military buildup, for one thing. It's very important. We're in the middle of it now, and we're still, coming up with a few glitches here and there, so I want to continue to work on that. I've always been a supporter of the war claims. I think that's so important.
In fact, Berdallo said she managed to get war claims passed by Congress 6 times, and it's currently included in the National Defense Authorization Act, something she hopes will finally get past the Senate. She said she humbly asks the people of Guam to re-elect her, and she encourages everyone to get out and exercise their right to vote.
I really do appreciate the support of the people over all these years. They've been very good to me, and I just want to continue to lend my support and do everything I can to advance Guam.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Isa Baza.
Stay tuned. We'll have more coverage of Decision 2016 after the break.
Tonight's Decision 2016 broadcast is brought to you with promotional consideration from
It's a day to come together and give back.
In any way you can.
From large gestures to small ones.
We can all make a difference.
The KUAM Care Force is once again joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Giving Tuesday is a day when charities, businesses, students, and families all around the world unite for one cause.
Celebrate and encourage giving.
So help us kick off the season of giving by joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Make a donation.
Coordinate a drive for those in need.
Volunteer your time and talent.
Participate in an act of kindness.
The possibilities are endless. Send us a message and let us know what you're planning.
And be sure to use hashtag Giving Tuesday on all your social media posts.
For more information, you can visit our website or givingtuesday.org.
We can all
make a difference
on Giving
Tuesday.
The Good Life, all month long on the stations and networks of KUAM. Check the KUAM News app or KUAM.com for all program listings.
This December,
Hairspray Live.
Live.
The biggest stars come together for the musical event of the season. Hairspray Live. This December on NBC.
Pacific Extreme Combat is back on Friday, November 18th. Former champion Kyle Logan faces off against Trevin Jones to settle their rivalry and determine the interim bantamweight world champion. Plus, the flyweight title is on the line as breakout Hawaiian star Riley Dudrow takes on the veteran bone crusher Darren Uyenoyama. Come witness history at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse. 2 main events, 2 new champions, 1 epic night of fight. PXC 55, presented by Miller Lite, IT&E, and the stations of KUAM. Also brought to you by these fine sponsors. Be a part of the action at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. and fight action starts at 7:30. Tickets are on sale now at all 76 Circle K locations, Anderson ITT, MWR, and online at tpiguam.com. With VIP tickets also available online at tpiguam.com and at Cars Plus in Mighty. EXE 55 is a tropical production.
Watch Health Check every Tuesday for community health information, advisories, and news you and your family can use for leading a healthier lifestyle. Health Check during KUAM News Extras, Health, Home, and Lifestyle. Health Check is presented by Island Cancer Center.
Well, here we are. Good morning to you. And NBC begins a new program called Today. This is a program from America to America. I hope we can give you enough to stay with you for a long time.
It's a day to come together and give back.
In any way you can.
From large gestures to small ones.
We can all make a difference.
The KUAM Care Force is once again joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Giving Tuesday is a day when charities, businesses, students, and families all around the world unite for one cause.
To celebrate and encourage giving.
So help us kick off the season of giving by joining the Giving Tuesday movement on November 29th.
Make a donation.
Coordinate a drive for those in need.
Volunteer your time and talents.
Participate in an act of kindness.
The possibilities are endless. Send us a message and let us know what you're planning.
And be sure to use hashtag Giving Tuesday on all your social media posts.
For more information, you can visit our website or givingtuesday.org.
We can all
make a difference
on Giving
Tuesday.
The Good Life, all month long on the stations and networks of KUAM. Check the KUAM News app or KUAM.com for all program listings.
Pacific Extreme Combat is back on Friday, November 18th. Former champion Kyle Logan faces off against Trevin Jones to settle their rivalry and determine the interim bantamweight world champion. Plus, the flyweight title is on the line as breakout Hawaiian star Riley Dudrow takes on the veteran bone crusher Darren Uyenoyama. Come witness history at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse. 2 main events, 2 new champions, 1 epic night of fight. PXC 55, presented by Miller Lite, IT&E, and the stations of KUAM. Also brought to you by these fine sponsors. Be a part of the action at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. and fight action starts at 7:30. Tickets are on sale now at all 76 Circle K locations, Anderson ITT, MWR, and online at tpiguam.com. With VIP tickets also available online at tpiguam.com and at Cars Plus in Mighty. EXE 55 is a tropical production.
Half a day, everybody, and welcome back to our coverage of D16. It is now 12:51 in the morning. Let's check in with Crystal Paco, who is at the Republican Party of Guam headquarters. Crystal.
Half a day, I'm Crystal Paco, repping the Republicans still from the headquarters in Mighty. I have with me senatorial hopeful and possibly one of our next sitting senators, Fernando Esteves. We clarified this earlier, Esteves,
Yes.
not Esteves. Okay, can you tell me a little bit about, feelings right now? You're making the top 15.
I'm just trying to stay cool, calm, and collected. At the end of the day, the one
thing that does stress me out are things outside of my control. But, in this situation, I'm just reminding myself, okay, there's nothing more I can do. So calm, cool, collected, but I'm trying to stay positive. It was a great race. I know I did everything that I could do and I really pushed. So I'm just hoping for the best, but I'm trying to plan worst case scenario, hope for the best. So I'm optimistic.
Again, we talked briefly about this on Facebook Live,
Sure.
but what is the first piece of legislation you'll introduce should you be elected?
Sure. The Government of Guam Efficiency Act of 2017.
Can you explain what that entails?
It is going to give Guam the most put steps in place to give Guam the most professional and efficient government we've ever seen. I know I can do it. I have the framework and I've done the work. I'm prepared to get it done. I just need to get in there and get moving. And then afterwards, I don't have any aspirations to be a long-term senator, not by any means.
What would you say are some discrepancies in Guam right now?
I think one of the biggest issues is you look at like fire department, the airport, and police. They have something in common. A lot of it, what they do is regulated by the federal government. So they do have standard operating procedures that fall in line with the federal government. But if you look at a lot of the agencies, there's not really any doctrine or anything to go by. And what that causes is it's hard to train individuals. So it's kind of like where we live in the Stone Age where we educate people by what the person did before the person before them and before them, but there's no guarantee that we're always doing it right or that we're always using the best practices. So I think when we finally identify it, put it on paper, we can use it as a training tool, we can use it as a rating tool, and then we can also make adjustments. We can apply metrics to it, and we can get real numbers and figure out how to decrease the amount we spend in government. I think that's the most important thing we need to do.
So here at Guam, he is all about efficiency.
Mhm.
And good luck to you tonight.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
we aren't here too late. Back to you in studio.
Thanks, Crystal Paco with Fernando Esteves with 53 out of 67 precincts reported out. He is currently at number 13. And from the Republican Party of Guam headquarters, let's check in with the Democrats and our Isa Baza.
I'm Isa Baza, and I'm here at the Democratic headquarters in Tamuning with Senator Tina Muñoz Barnes. And so, the latest results have just come in, 40 out of over 60 precincts already, and you're rounding out the top 15. So what are you feeling right now?
Well, Isa, I just want to take this time right now to thank the people of Guam for coming out and exercising their right to vote. It's been such an incredible journey, and I would be remiss if I didn't thank them. And very grateful, very appreciative for them continuing to believe in what I've done and give me their confidence of vote. So I'm feeling good. Still feeling very, very nervous, as in everything, but I'm just very grateful. Many of God's blessings to all of you out there for taking the time to come out to vote.
Okay, and you've been a long-time public servant. We all know who you are, and that you've done a lot of stuff, still working a lot of stuff, unfinished business. So what's your goal if reelected?
Oh, Isa, I did say that health, education, and safety are always major priorities, but if I have the opportunity to stay in again, I really would like to think outside of the box, get creative, and bring more resources to the island of Guam. We've been talking about tourism as the economic driver. 60% of our economy is driven by tourism, and I think it's important that we look at that a new industry to that, and that would be home porting a cruise, a small cruise ship here on our island would bring more jobs. The multiplier effect for that will be very great for our island, from the restaurants to the transportation to just blossoming the economy. And I think that home porting a small cruise ship here will do good, not just for our island of Guam, but for our Micronesian island brothers and sisters.
All right, thank you so much, Senator Barnes, and good luck.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you to my family, thank you to my staff, but more importantly, thank you, Guam, for coming out to vote and giving me your vote of confidence. Jesus Masi, Sinamasi.
Thank you so much. Well, reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Isa Baza.
Again, that was incumbent Senator Tina Muñoz Barnes, who's holding on to that number 15 spot with 53 precincts that have been tabulated. Let's head on over now to the University of Guam Election Central. with Ken Quintanilla.
Half a day, we're here at Election Central. We don't have any results just yet, but we just heard from one of the commissioners that all precincts have been reported for so far. I'm here with Sarah Thomas Nedadog from the Democratic Party of Guam and Tom Fisher from the Republican Party of Guam. First, guys, how do you feel the results are going so far?
Well, first of all, I'm really impressed with how smooth everything's going here in terms of the count. So I think that says a lot about the people of Guam and the voters, that everyone was doing what they were supposed to do, and the Election Commission's obviously doing an awesome job. So that's really great. So I'm pleased with the way the election results are coming out.
Tom, how do you feel the election's going?
Well, I'd like to join Sarah in congratulating the Election Commission. They've done a tremendous job. Look, it's not even 1 o'clock in the morning and we're almost done. We're still waiting for the last batch of results to come out. It looks like it's a change election. We're going to have a new speaker. It's an exciting time. There's a lot of energy in the Republican Party. We're very anxious to see the final results here.
I guess speaking about the results a little bit, I know for the senatorial race for now, it looks like a lot of incumbents are out of the top 15, just out of 53 out of 67 precincts. We have Speaker Wampat, Narissa Underwood, Rory Respicio, and Tina Munoz Barnes there on the bottom as well a little bit. How do you feel about some of these incumbents coming out of the top 15?
Well, first of all, I think we're really happy that the Democrats continue to hold the majority. We're right now at 9, possibly 10 when we get the final results, but we're pleased that we're going to have the majority once again, which I think is a great indication that the people of Guam still have a lot of faith in the Democratic Party. Of course, there's a severe and a major loss in terms of leadership and experience, with the possibility of Speaker Wampat and Senator Roy and Senator Narissa leaving, as well as some very seasoned Republicans, which would be Senator Bloss and Senator Addis. So that's, I think, is going to have a impact on the legislature to have lost that valuable experience and their contributions to the people of Guam over the years.
We'll get to the Republican incumbents as well, but what do you think is the reason for those three, some would say strong Democrats, falling a little low? Would you say there's any particular issue that resulted in that?
I think that there was a resounding voice, especially among probably the younger people, that they were really looking for some change in the legislature and all in terms of both parties. So I think this is really a wake-up call for all of us that are in leadership positions to take a look at what's going on in our community and to keep our ear closer to the ground.
And Tom, how do you feel about some of these incumbents like Frank Bloss Jr., Tony Atta, and Brant McCready finishing below the top 15 in the preliminary results so far?
Well, it's a preliminary result. It's a little early to say that they have finished like that. But as I was saying earlier, it looks like we've got a change election going on here. And we're excited because this is going to give us a chance to get the Republican agenda to move Guam forward and get it moved through this new legislature.
We see some new people coming in, like for the Republican side at least, we have Will Castro, Luis Muñoz, and Fernando Esteves. Why do you think that those three incumbents, Frank Bloss, Tony Atta, and Brant McCready, finished so low so far?
Well, again, we don't know that to be true, but let's talk about the people who it appears are coming into the legislature. These are fresh voices with fresh ideas, and we really look forward to what they're going to be doing for us.
Do you guys feel that any of these incumbents finishing so low had to do with it, like the pay raises, or I guess the bickering between the political parties of somehow? You feel like that played a role in these results so far?
I don't know that we'll ever really understand the thinking in the electorate, but I don't think it's any single issue. It might be a combination of various factors, but certainly there is a mindset in our community that is looking at some other perhaps features that they want to see in the candidates or in the senators that are going into the 34th.
And Tom, do you feel like the pay raises or any particular issue weighed in on some of these results are?
I don't. I think that that's really an unknowable. I think that what we can say from these results so far is that the people of Guam are looking forward to change. They're looking forward to some action in the 34th Guam legislature that so far we haven't seen. And we're going to be seeing a change in leadership, and we're going to be seeing new voices and new ideas and new energy in that legislature. There's going to be some good things happening, good things coming from the Republicans.
And since I have both of you here, I know both parties signed unity pledges for their candidates, and there's been some issues with some incumbents on both sides of the aisle, not necessarily not getting along, but just several issues that have been brought up in the media and online and stuff like that. Do you feel that any of those party politics, I guess you could say, played a role in some of the results here?
Well, I think that for the most part, people like the fact that the party people follow the party values and the unity pledge, because I think it speaks to their commitment to bringing the agenda of that party forward. So I think generally people like the unity pledge, but it also does not mean that when someone does not support it, that necessarily means it's an automatic out by the people. So I think the obviously the voters have a wider perspective on what loyalty and those pledges mean. So, in a way, I think it's something that all the parties should stick with their unity pledge and should, continue to encourage people to support those values.
And Tom, do you feel that any of these party bickering may have played a role in some of the results?
Well, I don't want to speak for the Democratic Party, of course, and I understand that they've had some internal problems and they're working their way through that, and I'm sure they will. But what we can say is that the Republicans are working together, and we've got our eye on the ball, and that's moving the island forward and helping the people of Guam.
Would you say the Republicans had their share of issues as well?
I'm sorry?
Would you say the Republican Party had their issues as well, some issues as well?
Well, the Republican Party has had a healthy debate and some issues, and they're resolved, and we're working forward, and we're working together for the people of Guam. And again, with respect, the Democratic Party has some issues that they need to work through, and we'll just leave it at that.
The debate will probably continue there after the election, I'm assuming so as well. But thank you so much again, Sarah and Tom, for your time, and we'll keep it locked. As we get more results, we'll speak to you guys as well. Thanks again, guys.
Look forward to the final results.
Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Keep it locked to the stations of KUAM for more on Decision 2016.
All right, thanks a lot, Ken Quintanilla with Sarah Thomas Nenadog and Tom Fisher. And the big words tonight, change in leadership. We are looking at some of the new faces that are, as it stands right now, we'll be heading into the 34th Guam legislature, those being Talina Nelson, Will Castro, Regine Lee, Luis Muña, and Fernando Esteves. And we're possibly looking at several incumbents who will not make it into the 34th legislature, those being possibly Frank Bloss Jr., Dr. Narissa Underwood, Tony Atta, Judy Wampat, Rory Respicio, and Brant McCready. So let's head on over now to the Republican Party of Guam headquarters, where Crystal Paco is standing by with another candidate. Crystal.
Today, I'm Crystal Paco at the GOP headquarters in Mighty with a very, she probably is very relieved she's in the top 15 senator to be, possibly, Louise Muña. How you feeling right now? Top 15?
Very surprised and very happy. Very happy.
We were talking a little bit before this. You have a household name, being on the radio, being in the media so long. Do you think that helped in your bid, your first run for senator?
I think everything that I've done in my life has always led to something else. So being in the band helped me in the radio. Then being in the radio helped me to get to where I am today. So I think, it's that personal connection. I think people they can trust me.
And if you ever listened to her on the radio, she also had a karaoke element.
Yeah, I did. It was a sing and win.
Sing and win.
Didn't make anybody sing anything.
That was your favorite part?
That, and then I had so many game elements. But to hear people, just let down their inhibitions and just call a radio station and sing, that wasn't very easy to get them to do. But they trusted me, so that surprise was good too.
And back to the campaign. What was the most rewarding part about the campaign so far?
I think it was meeting a lot of people. This is, I thought I knew a lot of people until I actually stepped into this arena, and it's been really such a learning experience because I came out of, I had no experience in politics at all, other than, being on the radio, but, just going out and meeting people, and then really talking to a lot of people. There's so many people that helped me, the supporters, and that gave me so much advice and said, try this and try that. And of course, I developed my own personality, but really it was such a learning experience. It really
How
was.
long ago did you decide you wanted to run for senator?
I'll never forget November 10 last year.
November 10.
And it was my birthday. I had a birthday dinner, and I told the family, I said, this is, guess what, I'm running for senator. And they were like shocked and surprised. So it was exactly about a year ago that I made that announcement.
Oh my goodness. So anything else you'd like to say to the people at home?
I just want to say thank you, everyone, for coming out and voting for me, number one, and then for giving me all their love and support and really all the advice. I mean, this Republican team was such a phenomenal support for me, and I think every time I thought I was lacking energy, they just gave me that little extra push. So I just want to thank everybody, and then for giving me the opportunity also to step forward and help the people like with cancer.
Thanks so much, Louise. And back to you in studio.
And great job to Luis Munoz. She's currently right now at number 12 of 53 precincts that have been tabulated. Let's head on over now to the Democratic Party of Guam headquarters and see who Isa Baza has with us.
Confident, I'm Isa Baza, and I'm here at the Democratic headquarters at Shirley's Intimating with Congresswoman Madeline Bordallo. And so, we're coming into the final stretch of the poll results here. We have the majority of the polls counted, and you are leading against your opponent, Felix Camacho. How are you feeling right now?
Well, I feel very good. It's a couple thousand votes right now at this point, and I've worked very hard in this election, and I want to give credit to my staff as well. We've been at this now for a good 6 months, and they've worked very hard. And on Guam, it's a little different than it is in the United States. It's kind of a one-on-one. You have to visit with everybody and, knock on their doors when we're out canvassing, and then shaking their hands and meeting with them and calling them, So it's a lot of work, but I like it. I love it.
Well, congratulations for doing so well in the polls right now. And, speaking of, going to door, the Guam election versus the national election, how do you feel the tone of those two elections kind of differs?
Well, I think, you watch the U.S. presidential election and kind of like they walk onto a big stage with a rally with thousands of people, and then social media plays a big part in this too. But with us, it's a kind of a one-on-one, You hear somebody wants to talk to you or somebody's not pleased with your performance, so you have to go and see them or call them. And we don't spend as much money as they do in the United States. And we had a small budget this time, and we lived within the budget. But I just want to say that my staff here has done a tremendous job. They're all hours of the day and the night. They're all here tonight again. And it looks as if I'm checking with one of our recorders here, and I think we're going to have it looks as if there'll be 9 Democrats versus 6 Republicans. I think that's the way it's standing right now. But what we're missing is the precincts. They're not mentioning which precincts these are, so we don't have an idea, but we've got the numbers.
Slowly, those results will be coming in slowly, and of course, we'll keep them posted on KUAM.com. Any final message to the people of Guam?
Just to thank them all for giving me this honor again to support them and to represent them in the United States Congress. I've been there a long time, and I have a lot of unfinished business, so I want to build on the progress I've made so far.
All right, thank you so much, Congresswoman Bordallo. Well, stay tuned. We'll have more on KUAM.com. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Isa Baza.
Thanks a lot, Isa, with Congresswoman Madeline Bordallo well on her way to serve another term. Let's head on over now to the University of Guam Election Central. Our Ken Quintanilla is standing by. As you can see, he's busy at work. He's got the results, and as we understand, it is the final set of results. Ken, Hafaday, good morning.
Hafaday, we're here at Election Central with the final preliminary results, 67 out of 67 precincts, over 35,708 voters, about 69% voter turnout. For the congressional race, we have Congresswoman Madeline Bordallo coming out on top with 18,263 votes, ahead of Felix Camacho with 15,000 564. For the Guam legislature, we start off with Frank Bloss Uggan Jr. with 20,994 votes. Michael St. Nicholas at number 2 with 19,621. He's followed by Therese Terlahi with 19,612. Dennis Rodriguez Jr. with 17,546. Talina Cruz Nelson, 16,878. Will Castro with 15,550. James Espaldon with 14,944. Regine Bisco Lee with 14,821. Mary Camacho Torres with 14,743. Vice Speaker BJ Cruz with 14,376. Luis Borja Muña with 13,626. Tommy Morrison with 13,584. Tom Atta with 12,988. Fernando Esteves with 12,947. And in the number 15 spot, we have Joe San Augustine with 12,492. Again, those are the top 15 results. It seems like it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a 9-6 split with the Democrats looking to have the majority. But again, these are the unofficial results. At number 16, we have Tina Muñoz Barnes with 12,450 votes. That's about a less than 40-point difference between the number 15 and 16 spot. Narissa Underwood with 12,279. Tony Atta with 11,970. Frank Bloss Jr. with 11,950. Judy Wampat with 11,885. Rory Respicio with 11,863. Chris Duenas with 10,893. Jermaine Alerta with 10,620. Fred Berdalio with 9,525. Amanda Blas with 9,499. Eric Palacios with 9,415. Benny Servino with 9,297. AJ Balahaja with 8,635. Jose San Augustine with 7,069 votes. And coming in at the bottom is incumbent Brant McCready with 7,023 votes. For some of the mayoral races, we kind of announced some of them earlier, but the ones we have now are Aston Maina. Frankie Salas comes out on top with 365 ahead of Vicente San Nicolas with 291. The PD Mayor Jesse Alec comes out on top with 412 votes ahead of Soledad Chargaloff with 172. So that means Jesse Alec looks like he's the winner of the PD mayoral race. For Agate, Kevin Siswico comes out on top with 1,168 ahead of Roy Gamboa with 556. For the Agate vice mayoral race, Chris Farron comes out on top with 1,183 ahead of Vicente Castro with 496. For Mongmon Totu Maiti, we have Democrat Rudy Paco coming out on top with 749 votes ahead of Johnny Taitino with 698. So that village looks like we'll have a new mayor. The incumbent didn't run. So that's Rudy Paco, 3 out of 3 precincts with 749 ahead of Johnny Taitino again with 698. Again, these are the unofficial results though. For the Dedido mayoral race, Melissa Savares receives 3,203 votes ahead of Stephen Guerrero with 1,811 votes. We should note there's also 1,803 write-in votes. For the Dedido vice mayoral race, we have Frank Beneventi with 3,291 ahead of Bob Canata with 3,050 votes. For the Jigo mayoral race, we have Rudy Matanani with 1,906 votes ahead of Peter Pasquale with 1,527 votes. For the vice mayoral race in Jigo, we have Anthony Sanchez with 1,755 votes ahead of Catherine Martir with 1,567 votes. For the public auditor race, Doris Flores Brooks receives 20,173 votes ahead of Doreen Crisostomo with 12,804 votes. So it seems like Doris Flores Brooks will receive another 4 years as Guam's public auditor. For the judicial retention question, for Vern Paris, 26,053 votes voted yes, where 4,669 voted no. And for the presidential race, Hillary Clinton received 22,972 votes ahead of Donald Trump with 7,747. So it looks like she got more than 71% of the straw poll for Guam. And for the CCU, Joseph Duenas comes out on top with 17,618, along with Judy Gutherds with 17,599. Eloy Hara came in third with 10,660. Again, the two of the three candidates will be on the CCU now. Again, those are all the results. 67 out of 67 precincts, over 51,000 registered voters, but 35,708 ballots were cast. It's over 69% of the votes. Again, these are not official at the moment. The GEC still has to wait 10 working days to receive some off-island absentee ballots. And I know that, so I think the earliest that they can certify the results will be on November 23rd. And it looks like the GEC is meeting right now. We'll see what other issues might have come up, but this has seemed relatively fast. It is only 1:18, and it seems like we got the final results this time. During the primary election, we were kind of getting the first, maybe the second batch of results for the primary election. Again, for KUAM, I'm Ken. Continues to keep it locked to the stations of KUAM.
Again, I believe that was 67 out of 67 precincts that have been tabulated. And the way the results are looking, we have 8 incumbents that will retain their seats, with 7 new senators that will be heading into the 34th Guam legislature. And that means 7 new senators in. That means 7 incumbent senators out. So let's take a look at the results. Well, we'll get to the results in just a moment. Just another fact about the results: we have 5 female candidates that will be in the 34th Guam legislature. We're also hearing there's 69% voter turnout. Again, 67 out of 67 precincts. That's a 9-6 split for the 34th Guam legislature. Again, 8 incumbents, 7 new senators, 7 incumbents will not be making a return to the legislature. At least that's what's projected with the preliminary results that have not yet been certified. Let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers on your screen. Beginning with the congressional race, Madeline Berdallo, she's been leading this race all night, and she has 18,263 votes to former Governor Felix Camacho's 15,564 votes. Again, this is 67 precincts out of 67 precincts. Moving on to the legislative race, where we are seeing several new senators. At number 1, Frank Ucken Jr., 20,994. Michael St. Nicholas, he moved up, 19,621 votes. Therese Terlahi, 19,612 votes to Dennis Rodriguez Jr. He's at number 4 with 17,546 votes. Number 5, Talina Nelson, 16,878 votes. And Will Castro, number 6, 15,550 votes. Number 7, Jim Espaldana, an incumbent, 14,944. Regine Lee, number 8, 14,821 votes. Mary Torres, number 9, 14,743 votes. And number 10, BJ Cruz, 14,376 votes. Luis Muñoz, number 11, 13,626 votes. Tommy Morrison, number 12, 13,584 votes. At 13, incumbent Tom Atta, 12,988 votes. Number 14, Fernando Esteves, 12,947. And moving into the 15th spot, edging out incumbent Tina Munoz Barnes, is Joe San Augustine with 12,492 votes. At number 17, Narissa Underwood, 12,279 votes. And Tony Atta, another incumbent who doesn't appear to be making it back to the legislature, with 11,970 votes. Again, this is 67 out of 67 precincts that have been tabulated. 8 incumbents appear to be retaining their seats, while we're looking at possibly 7 new senators heading into the 34th Guam legislature. Let's look at the next batch of results. Number 19, an incumbent, Brent Bloss Jr., Judy Wanpat. Number 20, Rory Respicio, 21. All 3 incumbents not appearing to make it back into the legislature. 22, Chris Duenas, Jermaine Alerta, 23. Fred Berdallo, 24. At 25, Amanda Bloss. 26, Eric Palacios. Ben Servino at 27, AJ Balahaja. 28, Jose San Agustin. 29, and Brant McCready, another incumbent, not making it back to the legislature at number 30. And let's take a look now at the question of judicial retention for Superior Court Judge Vern Paris. 26,053 said yes, and 4,669 said no. And now for the big race going on in the mainland, the presidential straw poll. Hillary Clinton, 22,972 votes to Donald Trump's 7,747 votes. And as we've heard from Maria Pangilinan, our presidential straw polls have been accurate in predicting who will be the next president of the United States. Moving on now to the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. They're actually the Guam Education Board. All six, they're all shoo-ins, and they all got a seat on the board. Peter Alexis Atta, James Lujan, Maria Gutierrez, Lourdes San Nicolas, Lourdes Benavente, and Ken Chargaloff. Out of the six, 5 are incumbents. Now to the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. Let's take a look at the results. There are 2 seats up for grabs, and getting those 2 seats will be Joseph Duenas. He'll be returning with 17,618 votes, and former Senator Dr. Judy Guthertz at 17,599 votes. And here are the results now for the Office of Public Auditor. And it appears Doris Flores Brooks will retain her seat as the public auditor with 20,173 votes over Dr. Doreen Chrysostomo's 12,804 votes. And let's go now to our analysts to give us their perspective on these results. Big word tonight, change.
It's a change. Half of the legislature has changed. I think Ron, we're going to be looking at an oversight hearing for the Department of Education here pretty soon. He's keeping silent. He's got a confirmation hearing.
I'm advised him to be silent.
Let's real honor, Tony.
But really, because we talked about this. We talked about what the public wanted out there. They wanted to change, and half of the legislature are new members. And of course, the pressing issue that continues to resonate now, we're going to talk about it tomorrow as well, of course, is the John Fernandez situation over there. And it seems to be, now look, the 2 senators that co-chair education, Speaker Wampat, Narissa Underwood, they're both out. The governor, the public has been very critical of them, especially the administration, very critical in regards to their stance or lack thereof, basically, on oversight for education, and they're out.
But Jess, I think the education, yes, could be one of the issues.
Of course,
but it's clear that regardless of all the polls, the most important poll that mattered today was something that we haven't seen since 2004, and almost a wholesale change of our legislature, which is we'll see where that takes us.
Now, early on, we talked about, of course, 2018. The next time we're gonna be here, maybe Midas you, because you may be on the ticket, right?
You just got drafted, by the way.
You got drafted anyway. But they're saying, Houston, we have a problem. So what does the Republican Party need to do?
I think the Republican Party has to go back and reassess just what happened. What happened tonight? What happened over the last 3-4 weeks? This is going to be there need to be a wholesale, for lack of a better word, autopsy of what just happened. We just took we took a lot of our incumbents. We have and those they were poised to take this party and into the next 2 years. Now it's a total toss-up about who will in fact be maybe the running mate to our sitting lieutenant governor, but also is anyone going to challenge them? But more importantly, I think, and the biggest thing to watch is going to watch the Democrats and bringing a candidate to bear that's going to.
But the numbers didn't change. It's still a 9-6. So here we go. When we really look at the numbers, there's 7 out, and of course the Democrats outnumber the Republicans by 1 in being ousted. So I go to Tony here. The Democrats as well will have to kind of reassess because 4 of their incumbents came out. They were replaced by four Democrats. But just like in the Republican side, 3 came out, but 3 were replaced by three Republicans as well. So both sides, I guess, have to go back and say, hey, 2018 is down the road here. When we look at the Republican side as well, the incumbents that are out, we talked about this early on. 2 of the folks they're being talked about as being running mates or possibly even head of the ticket are out.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, I want to congratulate the new candidates who are now senators-elect. We have 4 Democrats: Therese Terlahi, Talina Nelson, Regine Bisco-Lee, and Joe San Augustine. I failed to mention Joe San Augustine. It's the same pedigree as Talina Nelson. Former Speaker Joe T. San Augustine, a fantastic speaker and leader and public servant for us for decades. And then Republicans. 3 Republicans. I'm going to claim Will Castro as a Democrat. I always try to claim it as a Democrat, but yeah, a wholesale change. I think the first thing that Democrats need to think about is the fact that there's a power vacuum left with the loss of Speaker Wampat, and how the additional 4 Democrats are going to add to the caucus and figure out what that new leadership is going to be. I'm very hopeful that with this, with the new energy that they bring, with the new ideas that they bring, that they also want to see change themselves, and how that speaker is going, how that speaker position and leadership is going to work itself out really dictates, I think, for me, what a Democratic majority is going to bring to bear for the next 2 years.
Okay, so if you're claiming Will as a Democrat, that's
I personally claim
11-4.
But we all know he's an anglo Democrat.
Well, Sean, then let me ask you this in the side of the party, because the Republicans had their issue as well, and the party leadership. I think I think he was the chairman. I think that basically uninvited two candidates, Mary Torres and Jim Espodon, to I think the remainder of Republican meetings. They stayed on. I mean they got reelected. So how does that dynamics change of that? They are Republicans, but what would happen now, because they got in 9-6. Okay, so if you had 2 votes, that's a supermajority in regards to veto overrides.
You know, I'm curious to see what's going to happen with public policy for Guam over the next 2 years. What are the issues that are going to drive this majority, plus the additional, with the addition of V2? I would tell you this, that whether it's going to be in our education policy, which I think is going to rise up a little bit. Also, economic policy. Absolutely. I mean, where these guys, if they had a lot of ideas, what's that going to leave our island in the next 2 years? And then I guess the big for me is healthcare. Where, and with a lot of this, the talk about the whole reform of Obamacare, what's happening on the national side, the impact it's going to have to public health, mental health, especially as they're trying to get their act together, and GMH, which is a big issue. Where do all these people fit in those main policy items? I think we're talking about, okay, yes, we voted for them, popularity, all these different issues, where the villages sit with them, with the mayoral races, but those main policy issues are going to be a big deal for us as a community, and to see what they will do with it over the next 2 years.
In looking at the makeup of this and listening to the candidates and the incumbents on D16 and our shows when they call in as well, it looks like bond borrowing is a thing of the past based on this election.
It's done. I mean, I think that if there's any more borrowing that's going to happen, is going to have to wait till someone else is at ad lib.
Ron?
He's preparing for his
confirmation hearing.
Can I tell you something? I'm going to tell you. I think that the Republican Party, the Republican legislative side of the House, got a breath of fresh air. They have 3 young candidates who kind of went in, and so did the Democrats. This is the election of the younger candidates, and that's how I kind of sort of view this. That is, there are people who've looked from afar at the legislature, and they were hungry, they worked hard, and they got themselves elected. You don't get elected by waving and saying hello to people. You get elected by working hard. And don't get me wrong, some senators and also candidates work hard, but it's obvious that this group of younger candidates absolutely worked hard. They did all the right things. And the legislature, basically is going to be a very different place now. It's not going to be the same.
No. Yeah, we'll see what happens now with the medicinal marijuana issue. I think, I think Senator Tina Barnes, I think her downfall with this one is, of course, it's been 2 years. I know she did what she needed to do, but I had hoped that she would have taken the bull by the horn, and said, hey, look, okay, the people have decided. Now that they've decided, now we can decide. And so I think this was her downfall and took her out of this.
And one observation I think we haven't talked about in the last couple of weeks was when we think about the policies of, and this is probably a credit to the Democrats at this point, looking more fiscally responsible.
We're not looking more fiscally responsible.
But here's
the
the
Democrats
having
have been
late
fiscally responsible.
effort
Vice Speaker
to do
BJ
a bond initiative at the last second, and trying to ramrod these kind of these ideas when clearly it was not the right decision to do so. It's going to have its impact. Well, it had its impact tonight, but then moving forward, of course, bond borrowing is out. But what other fiscal things are we going to see from this majority? I'm curious to see what's going to happen.
But this is reminiscent again of 2004, as Dr. McNish was talking about 2004. I remember going from the 27th, we were the minority, we're 6-9, okay, 6 Republicans, 9 Democrats, and we also going into the 28th Guam legislature, okay, took out the Speaker of the House, Speaker Ben Panglinan at the time, and the whole new slate of candidates. I mean, you candidates coming in. So this is reminiscent of that, except it was the Republicans that took the majority at that time. So, and the Republicans fought against the GRT to bring it back down. So this time around, it's kind of reversed, and the results were reversed. So this is the reminiscent of the 27th going into the 28th, but the results again were.
And I want to listen to your show over the next couple of weeks, because people are going to try to figure out what exactly were the issues, but also new voters. I think, Talina Nelson and Therese Terlahi, these guys are bringing out new voters. I think
all of them. Will, Regine, Louise,
new voters.
Fernando.
But also going back, again, yes, a respectable 69% voter turnout, but of that 69 is probably a lot. If we look at it later, that percentage of vote, there's probably a lot of new voters who voted in this election.
Sean, you got to start listening to my show more often, because my listeners always knew what the issues were.
Okay, we need those new voters to listen to your show and call in. Right now, you have those other ones that are a little bit, of your generation.
Real quick though, I'm with Sean. I'm very interested in how the issues are going to shape up just over the next 6 or 8 months after they take office. I mean, having 7 new voices, a wholesale turnover of the Guam legislature, you would think that the incumbents who have survived this election, you have to hear those voices, because those are the voices that the people wanted, and they wanted change within the Guam legislature, which means they want to change in direction and policy and focus. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens over the next 6 months.
So guys, just looking at this, of course, unofficial results, okay? Just looking at this tonight, with us not talking to anybody, just amongst ourselves, who do you think will be the next Speaker of the House?
I believe the next Speaker of the House is, and I'll go out on a limb because you just asked, I think it's going to end up being Dennis Rodriguez.
I think it might be either Dennis Rodriguez or BJ Cruz.
BJ Cruz.
I can't say I like, but I think if we look at all the elements, Senator BJ Cruz was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and it's a nice, interesting dynamic if he'd become Speaker, because that'd be really history making, because he'd be in charge of 2 branches. The only other 2 branch types that we see are people who become Speaker and then become governor later on. So
but then caucus again could be totally different.
Totally different. Throw common sense out the window.
Hey, no one could figure out the results of this election.
We can't figure that out.
How are we going to figure out the caucusing of the Democrats? But very quickly, because I ran for Congress, I want to absolutely congratulate Congresswoman Mamie Burdai for keeping her seat. She's now going to serve an unprecedented 8th term in Congress, 16 years. She was our longest serving delegate after her 7th term. But hats off to her, congratulations to her.
Good race, though.
We need that experience and we need that voice in Congress.
And you did a very good job for the short period of time that you ran your campaign. Good job.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate
Well, thank
that.
you so much to our analyst, Sean Gumatautau, former Senator Jess Lujan, Tony Babalta, and Ron McNinch. And that's going to do it for us here on our coverage of Decision 2016. If you want to see the results, you can go to our website at kuam.com. And from all of us here at Team KUM, thanks so much for watching. And before we leave, we do have a special treat. We have our mannequin challenge. You don't want to miss it. Good night.
Okay.
Good morning.
This
Pacific Extreme Combat is back.